Hi Shabir bhai, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I am well, sir. I am well.
Am I audible?
हाँ जी sir, you are audible. Is
Okay.
everyone getting आवाज आ रही है सबको? Devashish is also here. आ जाओ यार स्पीकर पे देवाशीष. यार if anyone else who wants to be on the speaker, please request कर लो. शबीर भाई, how's your trading going? आज मतलब क्या आपने
Today I didn't trade any intraday, so positional was there.
हम्म.
So no, nothing has been initiated today. So we are just continuing with the position that has been taken 7 days before.
हाँ. So that position was in FNO या फिर equity में था?
No, no, position is in FNO. It's in Nifty and Bank Nifty.
Oh.
How is you? Are you trading?
Uh, Trading is going good. I was long on Zomato.
Okay,
मैंने रिजल्ट से पहले थोड़े लेके रखे थे, तो I've
that's
sold it
why
today.
you did earning long ball.
No, not volume. Just that मैंने एक पंट खेल के देखा.
Mm-hmm.
My thought process was कि जोमेटो का रिजल्ट अच्छा ही आएगा,
Mm-hmm.
and it turned out to be well. So I sold my position today. अच्छा 18% का गेन मिल गया.
That was equity, right? You sold your equity position, yeah, holdings, right?
Yes, holdings.
Okay. So why didn't you like you were expecting Zomato to rise up post earning?
Yes.
So you knew your equity will definitely will be in positive because you have a holding, and if things goes south, you will hold and then look forward, right?
I mean, I can sell it as well. So when I do positional equity, my portfolio is in such a way that I don't invest 5, 6, 7 like more than 5, 6% in any stock. So it's well diversified. Uh,
No, no.
spec-
If you were having that confidence, then you should have taken some cheap, options, long positions for
uh,
earnings.
is the matter in FNO?
No, no, no. Okay, okay, okay.
Huh,
Yes.
it is not in FNO.
Yeah.
So hence the equity.
See, today, like, I came. The point was like somebody has, said to Zidi Bakra like to ask some questions and all. That's why I came up. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. If there is any questions related, if I'll be able to answer, I'll try to answer it. So that is the whole motto here, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Guys, if you want to be speaker, Skare sir is here. देवाशीष को मैंने रिक्वेस्ट भेजी हुई है, बट I think he is busy. Okay, he is out. यार तुम्हारे क्वेश्चन है, पूछ लो बाद में. ये पता नहीं मौका कहाँ मिले.
Yeah. Anyways, like whoever wants to is like we have already intimated that was the plan.
Yeah.
If no one comes, it's okay. What's the problem?
Yeah, sir.
We'll
No,
go.
no
We'll work.
problem at
We
all.
have plenty of work to do. We will
Yeah.
not waste time.
Okay, so Swami is saying that okay, let me try stopping the recording if that is possible. Uh,
No, for that, like I think you have to close this space, and you have to come
oh,
up with a new link. I believe, I know, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that should be the thing, because otherwise it would be, difficult for them to manage, right?
yeah,
Recording on, it's not mobile.
yeah.
So,
We have to
and
end
what's
this.
the point in like speaking here on not on record? Nobody is sharing some alpha shit here. Nothing. It's like a Q&A round. I don't know. Anyways, it's the people choice.
Uh, Gaurav sir shared some alpha. I believe day before yesterday. So we started the space at 2 in the night, and then we ended it at 5 or so. So he shared some good pointers.
They are the one who will share alpha, not me. So here there is no alpha,
Yeah.
alpha, not even beta. So here, like, this space is not for like trading and all. Like, जिसको जो करना है करो. The point was like somebody has asked, some folks have asked about the tech stacks. So that was the motto to answer in that prospect. Otherwise, like, okay, trading कर रहे हो क्या कर रहे हो वो बात चलेगी. Otherwise, we won't go deep down in trading segment. No.
स्वामी जी आ जाओ घबराओ मत. I'll I'll delete the recording anyways. Once this ends, the recording would be there. So
And more crux, like, we'll not beg anyone to come, right? Somebody will come. Otherwise, like, we'll close this and we'll go ahead.
yes, sir.
We won't waste more time.
Yes. Uh, Shabir bhai, I have a question. So
Hmm.
I'm building this website in Flask.
Hmm.
So मैंने बस start ही किया है. So my goal is कि एक एक टर्मिनल टाइप सा बनाना है जहाँ पे स्टार्टिंग में तो सिर्फ अर्निंग्स ही होंगी. सो
Hmm.
आई वांट कि यूजर को रिफ्रेश ना करना पड़े, बट लाइक जो मैं कंटेंट अपडेट करूं वो ऑटोमेटिकली यूजर को शो हो. आई डोंट हैव टू अपडेट इट. सॉरी, यूजर डजंट हैव टू रिफ्रेश इट कंटिन्यूअसली. सो
Hmm. There are two ways to
Hi,
do it. Like,
am I audible?
yes sir.
you
Hello.
were audible, Rahman sir. Now you are not. I don't know whether you are speaking or not, but okay.
Yes, now you're not audible. He's connecting again.
So there are two ways. Like, you can either, send the events from your backend, or
Mhm.
you can make the client side code to pull it. So if you want to send the events from server, then there are like SSE, server sent events, when you can have postbacks over WebSocket, and have the client side to continue, either connect over a WebSocket to get the postbacks, or and update the front end, which is the
Mhm.
client is seeing, or long polling with server side events. These two option is there. So mostly, I think it would be better to have a WebSocket connection. So it would be having bi-directional communication with from your front end to back end to front end, and at
Mhm.
any point of time, things can be updated without the user need to intervene and get this latest data. Yeah, no need to refresh. So as soon as are pushing the data from server over the WebSocket, so whoever is connected through WebSocket, whoever client is up, and the tab is open in active mode, so they will be receiving that data, and upon receiving, the client side logic should be that as soon as the message arrive and it is you are interested in that message, so respective DOM will be updated. So it's not very difficult. So you just have to push it from the server side on events. So as soon as an event happen, you pass that message to the WebSocket, like you're broadcasting it. So anyone who is listening to that broadcast will receive that data automatically, just like FM. So radio jockey is speaking. So whoever is
Mhm.
tuned to that radio, they will receive they will listen to that voice in real time.
So if I want to play like DOM and all, I need some JavaScript knowledge as well. So
So from the front end side, yes, because you know how you're going to render your front end.
yeah.
Either have a JavaScript or plain. Even you can play with plain HTML5 and some a small chunk of inline JavaScript in that HTML5 code.
Hmm.
So that would be the way. But I think it's better to have a JS framework handy so that things will be moving fast, because nowadays like you'll be having a lot of documentation and help from the LLM side as well. So like if you ask cloud to make front end a simple one page single page application which listen to a WebSocket connection, and as soon
Hmm.
as the message arrive, it just display to the HTML page. So you can just start with this, and it will show you an example, and then accordingly now you can modify and use it. But the basic principle will be remaining the same: a communication channel between server and the client end. And normally usually it will be a broadcast, because you are the one who is broadcasting, and every single listener should get this data at the very same time, right?
Yeah.
So that could be why you are going with Flask. Okay, lot of documentation or whatever, but industry standard right now is like Fast API mostly. Even CERN, NASA, whatever, small chunks, their backend is in Fast API. So a lot of your recent documentations, your recent level help, not very ancient help. Like for Flask, if you ask some query and if you go to Stack Overflow, maybe the answer is the answer is marked long ago, maybe 7 8 9 years before. So that is way too obsolete for me, like at least for me. So you want to have at least current tech which is nearly 3 to 4 years old. Like if you look into like a period of 5 years from today, I think
Hmm.
Fast API is the way. Even the Flask writer, this Amin is there, na, right? So he rewrote Flask as a new package. The name is QUART, Quart. So that is having a Flask as the main thing, and all sort of bells and whistles. So a new package. Oh, okay. Start with that, and then you can easily migrate when it is necessary to migrate, and you have that user base which
Yeah.
is necessitating the need of you migrating towards a new package. So otherwise, it would be unnecessary, upfront. Uh, you know, uh, you will be dedicating a lot of resource upfront, and at the end, if you don't find a use of it, nobody is using it, then why we are investing time and all.
Um,
सागर से बोलिए हाथ उठाने की तो कोई जरूरत नहीं है आपको.
Rahman sir, if you are speaking, your voice is not coming. यार ये स्पेसेस में ना यही दिक्कत है. सो समटाइम्स यू ज्वाइन वाया वेब, इट डजंट वर्क. ऐप से करो फिर काम करता है. अब अगर ऐप पे हो तो प्लीज एक बार वेब पे, अगर वेब पे हो तो प्लीज आप एक बार ऐप पे ट्राई कर लो.
Rahman sir has already wrote. I think, I guess I'm not audible. You, now if you can speak, because I'm seeing the three blue dots, below your name. If you can try to speak now, maybe. Otherwise, you can come connect simultaneously, web and mobile.
Someone is asking who's the best data provider for retail algo. Subir sir.
I don't think that you are going with any data provider spending this money and you'll get better data than any other broker. No point in going to any data broker, because they are also providing you with the L1 data, and they are, not providing the L2 data as well. So you normally they will send give you till level 1, best bid and best ask. And even the true data states that they will be giving one snapshot per second for the most liquid instrument, trading in any exchange. So what's the point in going and buying with a third party data vendor, where around the same 99.9% same data you're getting with the broker? So connect to Zerodha. Everybody is having, almost everybody have an account with Zerodha. If not them, then their extended family member, anyone will be having. Take their credential if they're not using. Even if they're using, take their credential, generate an ink token, and connect to WebSocket. Around, if I'm not mistaken, you can have three via official API, three web, around 10 web sockets connected from that ID simultaneously. So around 3,000 into 10, so 30,000 instrument you can directly listen to without paying a penny. आप आराम से कर लो वो. Don't go to any third party data vendor provider. It won't add any value. You will come to realize after subscribe to it and you compare with the data you're receiving with either Fires or Upstocks and Zerodha. I'll say Zerodha and Fires, they are the two that I look forward to, because I find their data to be of quality. So if not Zerodha, then subscribe to Fires. Don't go with any third party. I don't think so. You're having any. You'll be getting any benefit. You'll be losing money.
And Fires also has free API and free account opening. So
Yeah,
if you
free
want
API.
to,
And you can connect to web APIs as well if you're like looking into the right places.
yeah.
Even though, yes, it's free only. Either ways. Devashish, no, you can't send order also simultaneously for 30,000 instrument. I was saying because they limit 3,000 instrument per WebSocket connection. So you are having simultaneously concurrent 10 WebSocket connection with the same, uh, access token. So you can listen to that broadcast of 30,000 instrument where they are sending the market data of that 30,000 instrument to you over 10 WebSocket connection. Per WebSocket connection, 3,000 at max, right? But you won't be able to send order for 30,000 instrument until unless you are directly connected to exchange with with your server sitting at the exchange premises itself. uh, of course it won't be possible, because I think the maximum message line itself is like 1,000 message, or maybe I think they have increased up to 25,000 message per second. That means at max anybody in India or abroad, whoever is trading with exchange, at max they can push 25,000 order in a second. That is the peak limit that is allowed at NSE.
Uh, and I believe Zerodha also has some restriction that you can only uh, you can only have these many orders in a day. I believe it's
They have
3,000 or
like
something.
3,000 orders, fresh order placement per user ID, and around 200 per minute, and I think 10 per second. So normally around one order per 3.5 second or so, if you don't want to exhaust your limit. And that is particularly for a new order placement. It's not for modify, it's not for cancel, it's not for any GTT order, which would not be translating to a new fresh order placement.
Someone Shivam is asking, is there any good references on internet for a right software architecture for algo trading systems?
There is no a best or right exactly. It depends upon like how you are doing it, depending upon it should be tailored to your need instead of implementing any generic architecture. I would advise not to fall into that trap. Like your requirement is something else, and you are going to implement a big architecture which is supposed to do some big things, but your requirement is to do one two thing, that would be overkill for you. Or maybe you are implementing some architecture which is not designed to your need, so that will be an underkill for you. Either ways it would not be benefiting you. So better what is your requirement, and how you want it to behave, and accordingly outlay your architecture based on that. In particularly in trading, it should suit your style and suit what you want to do instead of the other way around. You're not building a platform for others like and have to cater the need of scales and masses. So there, like one can take a reference of any other particularly established apps or industry or anyone else, and then try to replicate that. No, here the thing is different. It would be different with different people. It would be different over different traders as well. Devashish, any rate limit hacks for kite? Hacks is like the rate limit is per API key. Mostly they try to restrict it with the IP. So the safest way, like, have um, try to trade with the trusted API key. Your API key that you buy from Zerodha is not trusted, but Zerodha uh, provides trusted API key to third-party platform, which is their official partner, or their own apps, web, mobile. Let's say the widget that you have in Android to see the position of holdings, uh, Streak, Coin, Sentinel. So these all are having their individual keys, which is trusted and whitelisted, and rate limit doesn't apply to them. Suppose I'm using the API key of Sensible, let's say. So the rate limit won't be applied there, because that API key need to cater the demand of multiple persons, and that API key is whitelisted to act on behalf of the users which is using that platform. So if you get it, that is the way to overcome. But you need to know how to get that, and how to get the access token from that API key. Raman sir, you came right.
Rahman sir, now please try.
Hello.
हाँ जी
Yes,
sir.
you are loud and clear.
Oh, finally.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I have this question. If you can walk at least me through the basic pipeline towards this algo thing, like WebSocket to where to do the evaluation, where to generate the signal. If you can walk us through the pipeline associated with it. Okay. If I have any questions, I'll ask in the subsequent moment if that's okay with you.
Means like I didn't get actual question. You wanted to know like how to take this, right?
No, pipeline as in like if the let's say I have my Python application who is actually taking out the data from the WebSocket. Okay,
Hmm.
now that is from where the entire thing starts. So, do I send it across to the DB or do I send it across to a different Python application? Where should the actual parsing of the WebSocket should happen? The event generation should happen where? Triggering of the signals should happen where? How and where to store? How to fetch? So,
I
this
try to like
yeah.
speak in a broader way, and whatever I
Sure.
speak will be applicable to any language of user choice. It will
Okay,
not
cool.
be applicable to Python. So if I would be in a place whether I have to do it, first would be the first I will try to make a message bus, and that message bus will be like for uh, will be made in a way that the same bus can be utilized for local system as well as remote system. So a bus which should be present and everybody can tap into that, take the data out according to their need, and anytime they can join that message line or bus, and anytime they can leave. There's no restriction. You can join at the very start, at the very anytime you want. Just look into this just look into this flowing river, and whatever water, whatever amount of water you need to just take out. Or if you want to look into what is happening, then you can look into. It's like a running ticker. So this message line will be made in a way that the data is being shared over a shared memory for local host, right? Whatever, on the very same system. Like I have multiple cores, let's say 32 cores I am having on a system, and I want to have a message line. So whatever strategy or any other things that needs market data or any sort of system running on that very particular system will be connecting over shared memory. And whatever system that is located apart from this system and connected with a LAN, WAN, or internet will be connecting over UDP multicast to receive market data and TCP for any other interactions. So this message line is unified. It is made in a way to cater the need of both remote participants and local participants. Local participants means whatever program, any other process running on the same system, and any other program or process running in any other system located geographically away from that system, connected, however connected via internet, LAN, or WAN to that particular system where this feed is being broadcasted to the message line. First, that should be there. Now, uh, preliminary how this will be initiated. So the one process will be there which will be initiating this message pipeline or message bus. So what that process work is like, connect to different web sockets, multiple web sockets. Like suppose I'm listening to 3 4 exchange or multiple brokers. So these all will connect to the web socket, and as soon as the frame arrives, web socket frame arrives, it just park the data to that message line local over shared memory, and as simultaneously it goes to to UDP multicast as well, right? So anybody who's any other process who is want market fit, they'll connect to that, and they will subscribe to the trading symbol, whatever instrument they are looking for, and for that they can access the data. Now the benefit of sharing over shared memory is like the pointer will be passed only and data remains same there. So they will be having that address, and as soon as they want to look for that trading symbol, so they can just read that memory address and get the data. And for any other participants which is on a remote system, they'll be listening to that UDP multicast, and as soon as it arrives on the UDP, if they are listening, they'll get that, otherwise the message will get dropped. So we are not waiting for anybody to receive it. We are just sending it, fanning out the data. If you are listening, you will get that. If you are not listening, we'll just drop that, so that always you will get the latest data. You'll not get any stale data. So this message bus is there. So this message bus comprised of two parts, like market feed parts, and one bus that is IPZ. So this will allow any other process to talk to other process with method of pub sub. Like you can subscribe to a different topic and send your data, and the other process will be listening to that topic, and as soon as any data will come to that topic, they'll be taking an action, and then they will be replying to that. So this is the main message pipeline. Like suppose I'm having a process which is aggregating data from Zerodha fires. So there will be two different process listening to two WebSocket connection, and as soon as they receive the data from WebSocket, they will forward it to this message pipeline, and every single instrument data will be published like symbol, and thereafter the data will be the values of latest market data for that particular symbol. And then this is the story of market data. So how this one market data stream is there, so anybody can look into and get data at any time. Now any other process, like suppose we'll be having a different system. One process is doing order management for a particular broker, or one process is having like order management for multiple brokers. So this process name is like OMS. One process is like RMS, like this this process will be doing the work, or any order, particular order comes, before forwarding it to that particular OMS, do all the checks whatever is required, what is defined in RMS. And then there's an individual process, which is, let's say, strategy. That is a different process. It will be also tapping to the market data at need, and doing any CPU bond calculation or whatever, to generate the signal. And as soon as the signal arrives, it can just have a strategy name as a topic, or directly sending order dictionaries with the strategy name, right? And it will be going through, like, sending order signals. As soon as it generated, it is being published to RMS is listening, it is taking receiving the data, parsing it and validating it, then forwarding it to OMS over the same unified IPC channel or IPC message bus, inter-process communication message bus. So OMS is also listening to that. So as soon as the topic comes, like OMS dot strategy name dot whatever, so it is continuously calling to that topic. So as soon as the latest data arrive on that topic as a value, so it will pass the value. And if there's a RMS check, okay, it will forward to to the broker the order. And as soon as the order response comes, it will not only broadcast the same data over IPC, as but also forward it to other process, which is dedicated logging process, dedicated saving market data, and other.
Can I pause you here and ask a related question, just stepping back a minute back?
You can ask anytime in between also, you can.
How is it different from directly fetching the information? See, uh, WS will effectively collect the data, and then that process will send across the message bus, and everybody is tapping on
Mhm.
the message bus and trying to listen.
Mhm.
How is it any different from me that strategy application directly fetching the data from the provider? Okay, polling every minute or something like that. How
Mhm.
would that be any different from this concept? I mean, any other advantage that this is offering?
If it is only unique one strategy, one instrument, then that would be beneficial. So because you are removing any other overhead of these things. But suppose you are running multiple strategies, trying to fetch the same data, or different data, then it is not feasible. You can't dedicate an individual WebSocket connection to individual strategies. There are limitation, right? Some broker give one, some broker give maximum three, not more than that, right? I'm talking about only especially market, specifically market data. And regarding connection with broker for any other task, like orders, margins, or any other REST, hitting any REST API, there also parallel connection is prohibited. Only concurrent requests are allowed to hit their REST endpoint. Suppose if I'm having three process, and three process at the very same time, at the very same microsecond, hitting Cloudflare or their WebSocket, this all three will be rejected as a their rate limiting policy, right? So because whatever rate limiting policy anybody applies, it is a sliding window, right? If 10 order per second, then they'll be looking at the sliding window of like 0.01.
Okay, so yeah, basically, idea the differentiating idea over here is that if you use the WebSocket system,
Mhm.
okay, you don't really have to worry about the rate limit situation because you're not directly fetching the data from the broker. You can use that resource for some other purpose, like hitting the order or something like that, right? That is what I think that generally can be thought as.
No, single, like if you're having three strategy, and you are allowed to have three WebSocket connections, and every
No,
three.
no, 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 no. I was talking about, let's assume that. Here's my question.
Mhm.
Forget we don't have WebSocket.
Mhm.
How is it any different from me directly fetching the data from the broker, like in a querying that in a instrument price, last rate price, or whatever kind of situation, polling it directly on the broker API, fetching the data and then evaluating if my trading condition has been met? That was my question. What's the difference between this mechanism versus me directly fetching the data from the broker and
You
trying
would
to?
not be fetching from three different process at the very same time. You would not be able to fetch data even with the polling. You have to sequentialize it, even if it is 1 millisecond apart,
Okay.
right? So you have to make it. There is no concept. The parallelism concept is gone. Suppose I'm fetching market data as a quote, right? L, dot ltp dot quote, having a snapshot from the what the broker gives a facility, like they will look into the WebSocket and will give you a snapshot over HTTP request, right? That's what you are asking, right?
Yes, yes. How is it different from the web server? That is the question. Yes.
These three snapshot can different, can have a difference. You are simultaneously calling from three process, the same code, but the response that you receive can be different within these three process as well.
That is fine. I mean, see, as of now, the question is not related to
The
the.
question is like you're not acting on the same data. Now you are acting on different data,
Okay.
right? Suppose my three strategy running on the same index, and they're everything derived from the spot value, and these three process polling with our HTTP request from the three process. So maybe they'll get different spot value. Two will get the same value, maybe one will get the different value. But if you are listening to a unified WebSocket communications, so the same value will be broadcasted to these three. So at the very same time, they'll be having the same value. There will be not a single decimal difference,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Got it.
So unified source of truth will be there because you are acting independently. So you will be getting the data independently, irrespective of what is happening. A snapshot will remain a snapshot. I have taken a snapshot of the same WebSocket that is being broadcasted to me. So let's talk about the other, right? WebSocket, what WebSocket they are giving to us. Once we do an HTTP request, if you work with any pub sub, they are providing a queryable topics. So they'll give the snapshot, the value snapshot, and paste it to a JSON, and give it back. So in turns, they are sending it to me. So why? So they will take that snapshot. The overhead is there. The latency will be there. Thereafter, the latency of them sending me. And right now, you are making a TCP connection, asking the data. They are making the data, processing the data, giving it back to you. Why not going with the same running TCP connection, which is not halted? You are just receiving data bidirectionally. That the TCP connection is already active. It will be faster. It is having added advantage of you receiving the data, in a faster way, or accurate way than that polling method, because that comprises of additional overhead, and the latency will be more there. So you'll be, the possibility or likelihood of you getting stale data over quote is more than that over the WebSocket. So the likelihood high there.
So, okay. Got it. Um, on the related note, okay, somewhere you mentioned about that you are doing this geek and IV calculation directly on each data point. Is it implemented within the WebSocket process that we were talking about, or it would be a listener that will be just keeping on fetching and trying to evaluate all those conditions, geeks, or whatever kind of
Okay,
situation?
so for me, if you talk about particularly me, I have made like yeah, for local, as I already talked, like I made a setlock over SHM. So there is an individual process which is like Greek generation process. So it is also tapping to the market data, and as soon as the market data arrives, it will add and metadata of Greeks, calculate and additionally add to that same packet. So though right now the market data, as soon as this Greek process will receive that, it will in place replace that data, or in place add the metadata. Like suppose it's having many field. Now this process, what it will do, as soon as it will receive the market data, it will calculate the Greeks, whatever Greeks, and then it will add that key and value to that same structure.
Okay, so basically the rest of the process would be talking to this specific place instead of directly to the WebSocket bus, right?
Right. So now there's two things. Like suppose the strategy which doesn't need Greeks will not be listening, to this the data that is being produced by this Greek process.
Okay.
So whoever is needing that will be listening to this, because there this Greek calculation will add some nanoseconds. So for me it's 240 nanosecond additional.
Okay.
So every market data whatever received, up to 240 nanosecond to calculate all the Greeks up to second order.
Okay. So individual strategy's job is to evaluate that whatever prices are coming through, whether it triggers a signal, yes or no, right?
Individual process is to act on the data that is being there. Like suppose you are having you connected to this seclock shm, and this as soon as you are receiving, you are updating one hash map, right, or dictionary, let's say. Python folks can understand. So as soon as the data will come, the same value will be updated, and your strategy process work only to do the CPU bonded task, because strategy process should not do any IO, right?
Okay.
Act on the data, do the calculation, generate the signal, and as soon as you generate the signal, send it to the bus, right?
Okay.
So your strategy one signal, or then after a bull, true or false, right? And there at the RMS or any key value, you can already pre-prepare. So once this strategy signal is, so according to that, if it is yes, then the order parameter will be there. You should not do it at runtime. So you should try to avoid it at runtime. You should pre-calculate it. Except this, prices. The prices will be dynamically at OMS only. It will fill the latest from the market data, and it will send. Remaining everything as much as you can, pre-process and keep it at available to the process, so that it should do only a lookup instead of doing calculations, to reduce your trading to tick to trade timeline. Suppose there are some things that can be done can be done before the market opens or before that, and these things are not required to be done at one time, राइट, कि ऑर्डर टाइप क्या होगा, या क्या मतलब ये सिग्नल आने पे मुझे कौन सा इंस्ट्रूमेंट लुकअप करना है. These all things should be pre calculated and should be made available as a key and value. So whenever your signal generate this signal, so based on that signal value, a unique value, it should do the lookup. That's it. ये lookup है, ये dictionary है, pass करो, भेज दो order.
So yeah, this dictionary and all those situation, okay, would only be applicable within the same Python process, right? In case if you are talking about separate uh, 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 Python process individually, or maybe different process individual running it across, okay, the message bus will effectively take that factor, right? There's no you cannot really share a dictionary or something like that between the different processes, correct?
No, the signal where the strategy, like say strategy process, will not be having that signal.
I get it. What I'm asking is that when you are using a message bus,
Mm-hmm.
okay, to broadcast effectively, and there are other subscribers to this message bus, whatever message that bus we might be using.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in this case, is sharing of dictionary and all those things does not really come into picture, correct?
So if you want, you can, but it should be avoidable. So the lower the message size, the least the latency will be. You'll be having high throughput, least latency if the message size is low. So suppose I have many things, then I try to abbreviate it, or I try to put it in an enum and assign a value, so that my message passing in between bus should be taking the least amount of bytes, to achieve more throughput and latency. But suppose the signal has been generated and a unique key is there, so it will, the other process, like it is the signal should go to RMS first, right? So RMS is already having this dictionary available to it, pre-made dictionary. So as soon as it receive that value from that signal, it lookups, and the value will be the dictionary. It will do the check, and it will pass forward to the value to the OMS. Now OMS is receiving that dictionary with one or two field is an optional, and value is null. So these null, like price and all, will be filled by them. So where mission critical job is there, try to avoid passing a dictionary, because dictionary can also in a peak level. You can make it as a byte, and or either dictionary. I'm saying a dictionary, but I won't use it. If I'm using Python, I'll definitely be using data classes, so that you can pickle it and then send it forward. So basically communication in bytes. So once you do, it will be having a binary representation. So, and since all the program is aware of that data class, so if you send this serialized object, it will be deserialized as a data structure, right?
Okay, so in that case, anything that works off the shelf, this entire message
I
bus
think
architecture where we have this data classes serialized or using this what you call it, pickle would do the job for you.
for you, if you want like out of the box solution, zero MQ, you don't look forward to anything. It is having everything, every bells and whistles already baked into it, and lot of community support. So if you want to implement a message bus right now, you
No,
go
no, no,
zero.
no. I was talking in this context, as in like if you are going to use share the same existing data classes or something like that, and between let's say multiple Python processes.
Mhm.
Okay, so would it be easier to implement just directly pickle and batch it across, or there is again a different third party application where you can actually serialize your Python classes and all those things and send it across over message bus. That
No,
was
no, it's a simply pickle, right? A standard, use a standard pickle dump and just send it across.
okay. So there is no need for to use this message bus kind of situation, right? I mean, I can just pickle that and just dispatch it across over there, and rest of the process will pick it up.
To
Correct?
marshal the pickle and send it over how, either you have to use SHM or any process manager, right? So once you are starting initiating any sub process from the main process, that is easy. But let's say like I am having a shell file which is initiating different Python files independently, not from the main Python program, not as a sub process, independent process, right? So in
Yeah.
that case, you have to write you have to dump it as a pickle file, or you have to transfer over the message bus. That is a two-way. So what I use, like, okay, in case if I do Python ever, then I will be transferring over shared memory, because this is a bytes only. So the bytes will be just transferred over shared memory.
Yeah, but see the problem with shared memory, whatever you're suggesting, okay, is that the
Write
master
to
point
files,
that
sir.
we
Like,
consider.
that is the problem. You can write to a pickle file, and on the other process before initiating, they can just read that pickle file and load. But in that case, you can't load on demand. But in the case of any other, either shared memory or even Unix sockets, pipes, UDP, TCP, कुछ भी ले लो, you can just send these bytes across, right? You have to transfer the bytes to other process. There are n number of ways you can do that locally. SHM will be the fastest,
I
right?
understand. I understand. So here's the question. In case of message bus, okay,
Mhm.
the the distinct processes that would be effectively a listener or a poller. That's the question. Will they be listening
For
to?
market feed, it will be SPMC. Like the market feed producer is the main who is writing to the shared memory, and everybody else is listening. So just polling to that same address and getting the data, right?
No,
For
no, no, no. I would like to distinct the category between listener and polling. Polling effectively is that every second or every 2 seconds you could keep on checking. Versus listening is that the data feeds keeps on coming as on a kind of real time basis and evaluate it. I'd like to
so
distinct.
there is no notification if you are implementing an SHM cyclock over SHM. There is
Okay,
no notification, event notification. You just have to pull that a metadata, whether it is writable or readable, right?
okay,
If you don't know whether it is readable, you are not going to proceed ahead with the read. Otherwise, you will get the poison data, right? Because
okay,
you have to continuously hammer it hard. So that's why it's a busy polling. You are doing while true. There's no sleep, because if you do sleep, you are losing time, and you may be miss an event.
okay. So, in case if we use the message bus concept over there, will that be listening or polling again?
For the message bus specifically over SHM, if it is not market feed, and if it is a bi-directional communication between any other process, MPMC, multiple producer, multiple consumer, then there is no need to do busy polling.
No,
Then the
forget about busy polling. I was talking about listener process, or
polling
we should be
listening
polling.
process.
Polling.
In that way, listening process, where as soon as the value will be changed, event notification will be generated, and the thread will become active from sleep. But specifically in SPMC, in market feed, it will not be there. For any other case, MPMC, multiple producer multiple consumer में listening mode में रह सकते हैं, because now you are in a background, you are checking, keep on this as soon as the value will be changed, notification will be generated, event notification. So anyone listening on that notification will be knowing that the new value has arrived, and they will just refer that.
Okay, so in message bus architecture, okay, the limitation of the message bus architecture is effectively that you can't really share the Python data types as such, and a serialized and sundry records to be used. Okay, it will be a message, and everything has to be in a
Why not?
written and then
Why
passed again back
whole object you can send from one process to other process,
using message bus.
right?
Okay,
Even
how
if
is that
you
so?
give me a TCP connection, just I will make that object dill dump it and just send it across.
I'm sorry, what? Repeat again.
You dill dump or pickle dump and send it across, and thereafter you load it at that point. Like suppose I made a TCP connection here, and the other guy is listening to that port, and I'm sending this pickle dumped object as a bytes to that process, and that process will receive it, and it will just load that pickle, get the
Yeah, but
object.
how is that different from effectively the basic and just pickle dump and center cost? We are talking distinct between message bus idea where the things are good, end process is going to be listener, because I think what you have mentioned is that in message bus concept the listener would be there. In build up we have to keep on polling, right?
So dill dump also, like if you have a certain connection and you are keep blocking on receive, so as soon as the new message will come, this will be unblocked and you can do, right, because you know the receive part will be blocking until unless there is new data.
Okay.
So any socket or any such things, if there is no data at that point, the thread will be blocked until unless there is new data. Unlike UDP, where the if it is not there, it will just go on.
Okay. I think I fairly understand a lot of things what you mentioned.
It's just like you are
Yeah,
making custom pub sub instead of using. If you don't want to make all this, just implement 0MQ as a message bus. 0MQ, NATs, NNG, nano message, you name it. Like I would be suggesting otherwise. Okay, blazing MQ also, and then normally people should start with 0MQ or go with NATs otherwise, and then if you are trying to be adventurous, going for bleeding edge, go with Zeno.
okay, I think I fairly understand it. Anybody else, if you have, please go ahead. The stage is all yours. Thank you for your time.
कुछ गलत हो गया तो आप बताइए.
नहीं नहीं, I was initially questions नहीं आ रहे थे. I thought might as well just start up with a kind of basic idea of what you have in your mind, what are the differentiator, and that's it. I think I have a fair understanding of what I wanted to ask. Anybody else, if has any further questions? या तो फिर है ना मंडे को मार्केट क्या लगता है? Let's go back to that.
नहीं पता सर, मुझे नहीं पता ये.
Yes, please go ahead. For anybody else has any questions, I think there is something mentioned in the chat. I think.
Okay, let me check the chat. Stop recording, then we'll speak. Blue monk. I don't know how it is that possible. Anyways, Flask API, Fast API. Okay, sir.
Uh,
Chaitanya, समझ नहीं आया.
Sachin was asking, can I know which data vendor are you using?
So as I've already said, I'm not using any third-party data vendor. I don't think makes any sense to use over broker feed until unless you are having a data vendor which is giving you better than this 1 second snapshot. Then most likely you should go with that. It will be having a more granularities and having more data. Maybe go with a vendor who can provide you 100 or 10, maybe 10 snapshot per second. I think you should go that. If one is promising you give one snapshot per second for the most liquid, try to just stay away, because even if you go to fires and open the times and sales, you will see for any liquid instrument fairly you will get 2 to 3 snapshot per second. So a broker like Fires is giving 3 snapshot per second, and a data vendor like True Data is saying, "Boss, I'll give you 1 second at best with L1 data, not even L2 data." And it's better to burn your money.
किसी ने ये भी पूछा है, what do you think about Kotak Securities API?
So as far horrible, I don't know the current situation. When I was trying to use it, was that much horrible, and they themselves were not knowing what they have implemented. I think they have got the third party solution from two different platforms. So something in Kotak Neo and something was in Kotak Security. It was a whole lot of mess. I think today also it's prevalent. uh, the current situation, you can ask to the guy who is trading, maybe Algo Original, Mayank, they are trading with Kotak Security with Hucheng. But previously it was horrible story, maybe around 2 3 months back as well, where a single order at peak time will take 30 or 40 seconds to get processed. That is horrible.
Shabir bhai, any plans to do any videos on YouTube, any kind of educational content? Because I
I
believe
try to make one video like for if you will go to Python Trader channel, there is only one video that I have made for replay market data. And
yeah,
after listening to my own video, and I thought, okay, I should never make a video again, and not even to explain my stuff how to use it. So that's a horrible story. I don't know how, but for me to make the other guy understand what I'm trying to think, what I'm trying to do, it's like whole lot of other story. So the frequency at which the mind is thinking, it is not being translated by the sensory organs of mind. So I can't translate my thought very well from my writing. Even I can't translate the whole lot of things that is running in my mind by my vocals also. So there is a huge latency between this thought process and translating to a method where other humans can understand what I'm trying to think in my mind. So it's
ये आप बोल रहे हो क्या एआई बोल रहा है?
मैं बोल रहा हूँ.
अच्छा, एआई भी आई थिंक वही बोल रहा था, राइट?
It's like a translation is like a sometimes I think like Elon was right, like the frequency at which you think something and do things in your mind, it can never be translated by this very ultra pathetically slow sensory organs or uh, whatever. I don't know particular exact terms, so I'm just trying to convey what I'm thinking. But let's see in the future if somebody asks me to say something, well, I can say something. That's it. मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल विल से कुछ समझ में नहीं आया, आप क्या भी बात करके चला गया, फालतू में टाइम वेस्ट हो गया मेरा.
short wall. Yes, you can speak.
Yeah, Subir bhai, I had a question. Noob है बहुत सारा तो गाली मत देना. I see what I am trying to do is मैं 400 इंस्ट्रूमेंट का I am trying to save data from WebSocket. Okay, करीब करीब 400 इंस्ट्रूमेंट आता है. I tried it with SQLite 3 and I tried it with like directly dumping it to memory using dictionary. वो दोनों में मेरे को ticks miss हो जाता है. You'll get that error in Zerodha, right? That connection drop.
You must be getting 1006, right?
Yeah, yeah. That is what is happening.
Connection close uncleanly, right?
Yeah.
Because you are blocking the ticker feed. So if you are using Zerodha, let's say, and you are listening to 400 instruments, it's बहुत ही कम है, 400 इंस्ट्रूमेंट तो बहुत कम है. Okay, and just what you do, uh, make the connection in that thread. And there is one method, like you must be saying define on ticks when you are making a callback on ticks. What action right now you must be listening to that ticks in that on ticks and saving it there, right?
Yes.
Instead of that, in that define on ticks, first import q, and on ticks में क्या करो, q dot put no wait bracket ticks. तो जो भी ticks आ रहा है उसको एक q में डाल दो. नीचे आ जाओ, सबसे नीचे जहाँ पे आपने लिखा के डब्ल्यू एस कनेक्ट ब्रैकेट थ्रेडेड इक्वल टू ट्रू, उसके नीचे आता है ना कि इसके बाद कुछ भी करना है तो करो. देन यू कैन राइट वाइल ट्रू एंड देन हैव डेटा इक्वल टू क्यू गेट नो वेट, राइट? आप क्यू से डेटा लो एंड देन डंप इट टू फाइल, डंप इनटू एनी एसक्यूएल एंड व्हाटएवर यू वांट टू डू. So you are not blocking that IO thread where WebSocket is running. What you are doing there, as soon as the text is arriving, you are just passing it to in memory queue, right? Python queue is in memory queue. You can have a size, like suppose you can put a size with 1000. So 1000 tick आप save कर सकते हो लगातार as soon as it comes. And in the main thread, what you are doing after this making connection, you are just getting things out from that queue and saving it. So you are having a buffer of 1000 instrument. So if the WebSocket is fast, it is, so now you can hold up to 1000 data because you are writing it slow. So instead of blocking the thread, because if you are slow, and WebSocket is fast. WebSocket will disconnect. It will not wait for you because it don't want to give you stale data, right? So that is way better. That is a better way to queue it, have a buffer of your own, and then write slowly. So this method I am using currently as well, and every day I dump it. Yeah, you all know that.
आपने तो ग्रुप से निकाल दिया मेरे को सर.
अरे आपको दिया तो था. You have not solved that encryption, right? It was not.
सर उतना ही क्यों होता, मैं आपसे डेटा पूछता सर.
The passphrase of that AES encryption was your name, short wall addict. If you can go to any online website and you decrypted it, you could have got the invite link and joined.
ओके सर, ओके.
इतना सिंपल दिया था कि आप अपना यूजर नेम भी ट्राई करता था और डिक्रिप्ट हो जाता, बट चलो.
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू. यही सवाल था सर. थैंक यू.
स्वामी जी का एक सवाल है जो चैट में आया हुआ है, इन केस इफ यू वांट टू.
He's asking Redis is populating my memory. I am doing busy polling. Can I make this asynchronous?
Why you are doing busy polling? Yeah, on ticks you do the same thing. Pass it to the on ticks. You can just pass it to the pub sub, right? Yeah, Redis pub sub. You can directly pass it to the queue. Instead, like I've told now, make Python queue. Instead of that, define on ticks, and as soon as the tick arrives, you pass it to that queue. That is it. You won't be missing anything, because as soon as that tick is arriving, you are just passing it to the queue, and that queue is Redis queue, right? It won't block.
Samir is asking, how do you ensure what tick data to be stored for an instrument when listening multiple sockets for the same instrument?
Multiple socket for same instruments. A deduplication you are talking about, right? So deduplication can be done like based on LTD, the timestamp that we receive, right? So if there is a data, two same data, and having a same LTD timestamps or exchange, let's say exchange timestamp, right? Then and it is not very delayed. Like I'm measuring my local timestamp as well, and what timestamp I'm receiving. If it is less, if it is greater than 1 or 2 seconds, I just discard, don't save it, don't act on it, but I can save it. For saving purpose, I can save it. For saving purpose, due duplication, if for the same timestamp data I'm receiving, I'll check this market depth and LTP. If there is two different having same timestamp but two different LTPs or two different market depth, then I'm going to save both. If it is same, I won't say save, because you can receive ticks having same LTP but change market depth. So if any of the field like LTP or market depth is changing, the broker is passing the ticks to you. So LTP कुछ नहीं change हुआ, but bid and ask is continuously changing. You are going to receive data in full quote mode. So if you are listening to LTP, you won't get more ticks. If you are listening to quotes, you definitely are going to get ticks if there is any change in bid and ask. So in that case, the deduplication plus whatever I don't think so any broker is sending timestamp in microseconds or milliseconds. All are second timestamps. So there also for how you'll get to know that exchange is sending you 3 snapshot or 2 snapshot for that particular instrument on that very same instrument, same second, because they are sending timestamp in second. Both value will remain the same, but there will be two different ticks. So you have to, as soon as you receive these two different same timestamp, so before deduplication, like before discarding anyone, just match this LTP or market depth. So if LTP is matching, then check market depth. If LTP is not matching, then simply save it. So you have to make your logic shortcut circuit. If LTP is different, then दोनों को सेव करेगा. LTP सेम है, exchange टाइम स्टैम्प भी सेम है, बट मार्केट डिफरेंट देन चेंज है, तब भी सेव करेगा दोनों को. और अगर दोनों सेम है तो फिर एक को डिस्कार्ड करके एक को सेव करेगा. I think if there is any other question, then you can ask on top of it.
Uh, Abhishek is saying, please provide a link for beginners in algo trading on YouTube. Any suggestions on how to start with the CS background?
I don't know about exactly how to do it on it. I don't have any rough sketch. Uh, YouTube particularly, I don't know. Better join some programs by existing traders who are having a better teaching or method, or getting you onboarded in this particular field. So अंकित गर्ग सर है, उनसे पूछो, उनके प्रोग्राम भी हैं और भी कई लोग हैं. So यू कैन गो अहेड. बट बेसिकली क्या है, ट्रेडिंग में स्पेसिफिकली क्या है, तीन चीज़ है. डेटा लेना जिस पे आपको एक्ट करना है, ठीक है, और अपना डेटा ब्रोकर को भेजना. दूसरा वो है लाइक डेटा, वन थिंग यू वांट मार्केट डेटा टू यू, you will act on this, then you will send data to broker for the broker to act on top of it. यही है पूरा एल्गो ट्रेडिंग, और इससे ज़्यादा कुछ भी नहीं है. Market data you receive, do your business logic, generate order packet, send to broker. ये these three steps. उसमें क्या है, बेसिकली आपको फर्स्ट ये सीखना है कि हाउ यू ट्रांसलेट योर बिजनेस लॉजिक इन कंप्यूटर साइंस. उसके बारे में सोचो, या उसके बारे में फिर पढ़ना है, लाइक हाउ टू डू एक्सप्रेशंस, लॉजिक डिज़ाइन इन कंप्यूटर साइंस. बेसिक आपको सीखना पड़ेगा कि हाउ टू ट्रांसलेट एनी आइडिया इनटू ए स्क्रिप्ट, a program which behaves as if you are doing it manually. Like suppose 400 रुपये आना है अगर एक इंस्ट्रूमेंट का प्राइस, तो मुझे उस पर कैलकुलेट करना है कुछ परसेंटेज. अगर वो परसेंटेज सेम है तो मुझे येस और नो लिखना है. पहले ये सिंपल करके देखना है, लाइक यू हैव टू डू लाइक दिस. सो in English, like you are acting receiving an instrument with some price, then you are calculating some percentage on that price, and on that percentage should match the threshold value that you are having written. Then do some action, simple. Then first business logic, how to do. Then thereafter you have to learn how to communicate with any other server over with how to communicate. So there are 2 3 methods like WebSockets, REST APIs. So you have to learn how to do request and responses in between servers, and how to connect to WebSockets, or having a bi-directional communication between you and your remote end, like any broker. तो ये सीखना पड़ेगा. Then integration of all, वो जाके फिर algo trading बन के आता है.
I can probably add because I'm a beginner. मेरा finance background है.
Yes, yes, you should.
हाँ जी. तो सबसे पहले तो अगर YouTube से शुरू करना है ना, बेसिक जो पाइथन के किसी का भी कोर्स ले लो. देयर दिस YouTube चैनल कोड विद हैरी करके, उस बंदे के ट्यूटोरियल्स काफी अच्छे होते हैं, वो बेसिक से सब एक्सप्लेन करता है. वंस यू कंप्लीट इट, तो थोड़ा थोड़ा ना लाइक पाइथन में प्रोजेक्ट्स बनाने शुरू करो जो भी तुम्हें इंटरेस्टिंग लगता है. लाइब्रेरी उठाई, पांडास वगैरह करना शुरू किया. आई ऑल्सो एनरोल्ड इन अंकित कोर्स. तो दैट इज रियली गुड, एंड एक ना स्ट्रक्चर्ड वे में अंकित ने पूरा कोर्स करवाया हुआ है. सो जब भी लाइक नेक्स्ट बैच हो तो यू कैन एनरोल. if you think that course is expensive, so एक उडेमी पे ना जीरोधा एपीआई का कोर्स है, ठीक है, 500 550 में मिल जाएगा. आई फॉरगॉट द नेम ऑफ द ट्यूटर. सो दैट यू कैन सब्सक्राइब. तो उधर पूरा तुम्हें जीरोधा एपीआई का मिल जाएगा कि कैसे डेटा लेना है, कैसे ऑर्डर प्लेस करना है, ये वो करके. बाकी दिस इज हाउ यू कैन स्टार्ट. कि अगर तो पूरा एक लाइक इफ यू आर विलिंग टू पे, तो अंकित का कोर्स ले लो. अगर तुम्हें लगता है कि इट इज एक्सपेंसिव, तो यू गो टू उदमी 550 दो. जो पाइथन के बेसिक्स वगैरह हैं वो तुम्हें मिल जाएंगे. बाकी जो जो लाइब्रेरीज होती हैं लाइक यार पांडास, नमपाई, बैक टेस्टिंग के लिए लाइब्रेरीज होती हैं, उसकी भी तुम्हें वीडियोस मिल जाएंगी.
ये मतलब देर डिफरेंट थिंग्स, पांडास और ये सब नंपाई, बहुत बात की बात है. सिंपल, हाउ टू डू अर्थमेटिक्स, लॉजिक्स,
Yep.
एक्सप्रेशंस कैसे लिखने हैं, और कैसे बोलते रहो, मतलब लाइक सपोज वॉट एवर यू आर डूइंग फ्रॉम the web page of web app of any broker, and how you are going to do it programmatically. So suppose आप तो ब्रोकर के ऐप पे जा करके लाइक बिफोर पंचिंग ऑर्डर यू डू सम मेंटल कैलकुलेशन और वॉट एवर, राइट? फर्स्ट यू ट्राई टू मिमिक द सेम फ्रॉम एनी प्रोग्राम, कि मैं जो ये डिसीजन ले रहा हूँ एक्टिंग ऑन सम कैलकुलेशन, हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू दैट डू दैट कैलकुलेशन विथ प्रोग्राम। वहाँ पे मैनुअल डेटा इनपुट कर करके मैं ये तो देखना चाहूँगा ना फर्स्ट, लाइक आई वुड ट्राई टू सी वेदर आई कैन मेक ए प्रोग्राम which can see to that data what I am seeing with my eyes and take generate that action, right? आप एक कैलकुलेशन करते हो, लाइक यू डू सम कैलकुलेशन मेंटल मैथ बिफोर क्लिकिंग ऑर्डर, राइट? सो दैट फर्स्ट स्टेप, लाइक आर यू ट्राइंग टू हाउ यू आर ट्रांसलेटिंग योर आइडियाज इनटू वन प्रोग्राम। उसके लिए पहले आपको बोला बेसिक बेसिक करके सीख लो। बेसिक और पाइथन, अगर आप पाइथन से करना चाह रहे हो तो वो चाहिए, किसी भी लैंग्वेज का एक बेसिक, हाउ टू डू थिंग्स स्टफ लाइक, फिर आगे जा करके कम्युनिकेशन एंड ऑल, ठीक है। और मुझे ये लगता है लाइक आई एम ट्राइंग देन वो जो आप स्पेशलाइज्ड लाइब्रेरी यूज करना फॉर सॉल्विंग ए पर्टिकुलर सेट ऑफ टास्क, वो बहुत दूर की बात है। if you are not trying it able to do our basic arithmetic addition multiplication and division with a program, you are in no way you in no way will understand any specific or specialized third party library pandas, और ये इसका जरूरत ही क्यों है, like why it is used, what is their purpose and how they are beneficial over a standard library, you would not be knowing. So what is the point of doing anything which you are not at all understanding? तो धीरे धीरे स्टार्ट करना है, यू स्टार्ट स्लोली ग्रेजुअली सॉल्व थिंग्स, then climb the ladder, and as soon as you will climb, you will be having the need and necessities which will warrant the use of this specific or third party libraries, right? Until unless you climb the ladder, it won't be come to that positions. Start, make a schedule for your own self. I will learn this, learn this, learn this, learn this, like how to manipulate strings, how to do arithmetics, how to make expression, और how to check conditions, right? धीरे if क्या होता है, else क्या होता है, कैसे काम करेंगे, लॉजिक कैसे बनाएंगे, right? वैसे स्टार्ट करना है धीरे धीरे, देन ठीक है बिजनेस लॉजिक जनरेट कर सकते हैं। नाउ आई एम ट्राइंग टू communicate this to the broker, then फिर उस पर अटैक करना है। then you came to the second stage, okay, how to communicate this to the broker and how to get response from the broker, then आगे बढ़ना है। okay, अभी तक तो मैं मैनुअली लिख रहा था कि अगर if this ticker is 400 rupees, now how to get this 400 rupees automatically from broker, stage 3. Then you completed stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3, then stage 4, combination of 3 and 1 automated strategies. And all this columnar pandas and python will be in a setting where you have to do certain calculation over table data, so back testing कर लिया या कुछ positions का combination calculate कर रहा है, just like you are doing in excel, तब वहाँ पे stage 5 stage 6 में ऐसा जाके बढ़ना है, stage 1 stage 2 ऐसा धीरे धीरे करके। I think that should be the way which will make you comfortable moving forward. So like you are like moving ahead with a reward style, you complete one goal and this is the reward, like you jump, you unlock level 2, because until unless you unlock the level 2 you can't play level 2 in any game. So I think that is the way. It's my personal opinion, it may or may not hold true depending upon person to person, but yeah, this is how I believe person should take things up. Otherwise you will be feel awestruck with so many jargons and all this कि आप सोचोगे ये तो बहुत भयंकर है, मुझसे होगा ही नहीं, you will get bogged down. Crux you can add on top of it if you wish to.
uh, no, whatever you said is perfectly fine. बाकी तो मतलब यही है, हाथ पैर मारते रहो। अगर तुम्हें पैशन है इस चीज का तो तुम कर लोगे, is what I believe in. You will automatically start finding resources which will help you. And ऐसा तो as such तो कोई रोड मैप है नहीं है, बट आई वाज प्लानिंग टू पुट अ नोशन डॉक्यूमेंट कि मैं क्या चीजें फॉलो कर रहा हूँ, एंड लिंक I'll probably share the link tomorrow. मतलब फ्री यूट्यूब ट्यूटोरियल्स या कोर्सेज वगैरह जो मैंने किए हैं। So yeah. Next question is which broker do you use, Shabir sir?
Zerodha IFL. I recently opened an account with Shunya, but I am just I will like finish Snake and I'm rewriting is the SDK. So I think it's 90% complete, not yet 10% not yet completed. As soon as I will complete, I'll try to test it.
How does Aaron compare to message bus?
Aeron is there, people are using Java base is there, but Zeno beat Aeron by lot of margin. So if you want to go with Aeron, which is mostly used by these funds houses to do communication over a bus, where the underlying will be Aeron, you can do the same thing with Zeno and gain more, better latency with particularly Zeno Pico, which is being used in robotics communication RTOS systems. RTOS is real time operating system for robotics, where the least latency is required because these are the things who are doing high precision tasks. So Aeron is nothing if I say, guaranteed 1 microsecond latency is there. If you put it in RTOS, where you can't put that heavy system there, where you have to work on bare metal things. So
एक क्विक ओपिनियन दूंगा यहाँ पे, if that's okay.
mhm.
This आर टी ओ एस होगा, then only you'll be able to make use of it, else it's not going to be any use, it's going to be regular thing.
No, the library is designed in a way where it is can be used with no standard environment as well. So it will be working.
That is fine. I'm just saying that this entire real time capability is dependent upon real time
Right.
OS. If you don't really have a real time OS, it is as good as the other one as well.
There also there is an added advantage because you don't have this overhead of JVM, and this thing being written in native native languages, native binaries, which what Zeno offers. So obviously there is an added advantage over that. And there is a lot of comparison between from CMU and as well, where they compared multiple things: Cyclone DDS, ITODX, and Aeron, and where led by a lot of factor, led by a margin. So I think it has saturated how many 10 Gbps line easily. So throughput and latency wise was very good um, as compared to Aeron.
Uh,
Then one question is there from chat. Have you implemented rate limiting in your OMS before it pushes order to APIs rather than broker rate limiting your orders? First, I try to test the waters by circumventing the rate limits, and according to my findings, I incorporate that things into OMS. And where the circumvention is not possible, the OMS is already having that rate limit middleware, so it will is having a leaky bucket design. So as soon as the bucket is full, it won't allow any other things to be processed until unless there is a room for any other order package to come into that bucket and fill it. So it's a leaky bucket design in my OMS. If you ask about my OMS, so I'm just answering.
Someone is asking what kind of job opportunities are available in trading related firms in India for someone with the tech and finance background, but not specifically in quant or HFT roles.
Mm, I don't know by like I don't know. Rahman sir can add to it. I don't know whether he is knowing.
If you are not part of the circle, it's going to be difficult to break in.
Yeah, mostly they hire young fellows. Very.
No, I'm saying that if you are not part of the circle, it's difficult to break in. So if you have to join the circle, then you have to start somewhere at a small firm with whatever is the thing. All you have to do is you have to take up the label of whatever that you wish to. That is what is going to be useful.
Or any other established entities as well, they will look for this uh, IITs and all creamy layers or Olympiads, and they will just try to take in. So other cracking in is difficult if you don't have certain kinds of pedigree. I say otherwise you have an internal reference or not. So I think the base is basic what is a basic qualification is to have that. Then you try to, whether you are like outright smart than them, than all of them also, you will not be able to break in, you'll not be having any chance. Otherwise, like if I have like out of the box god gifted mind, having a lot of publications in some major IEEE forums and all, then okay. Otherwise it's difficult. Or you have an insider person who has recommended and got you on board.
There is an alternate way. Uh, all these concepts and ideas practically you have to keep on publishing in the web environment, Twitter, GitHub profile, or wherever applicability. Somebody would pick it up because I know few folks who have actually broken into as a quantitative analyst or a developer using the same concept.
The odds are very less, but
Not really. The odds are there because you have to open up everything, whatever is possible. If referral is not available, you just can't sit alone, right? Waiting for a referral to come.
right.
I know three hires who have recently went and joined smaller HFT of a sort firms or prop trading firms and are using the same concept.
Uh, yes, not in the established one, until unless somebody is like very fond of you because of your Reddit comments and answers or GitHub profiles. But whatever you said like holds true as well. But it's not like I'll say very easy. It's better to land somewhere where some people have recently started. Get in touch with them like a startup HFT, having HFTs, MFTs, whoever is there. Then you can get in contact and let them evaluate you if they can. Then the likelihood to get hired by them would be, I think, higher than the established places. Most likely, if you have friends like certain people who have already worked and they left one established organization to join one startup, then they can bring you on board to that startup as a part of their team that they are joining.
How can I also compute live score and polars while taking the tick data? Whatever score I'm commuting, I'm storing in my DB every minute? Question mark.
I'm not maybe I'm not able to understand what is the question like exactly. Can you break into parts? What?
Yeah. So the first part is how can I also compute live score and polars while taking
live,
the tick data?
live score?
Score.
What is this live score?
Uh, प्रसन्न भाई प्रसन्न भाई का क्वेश्चन है ऊपर आपको लाइक पिन में है वो.
Okay, how can I also compute live score in polars while taking?
He's talking about the threshold of the signals effectively. Like, Nifty at a 24,000 level, I'll have to generate a buy signal. He's talking about the threshold signals.
Okay, like I'm whatever score I'm computing, I'm storing in my DB every minute. If your calculation is not compute heavy and can be calculated before the next snapshot arrives, you can do it. Like what you are just publishing to a queue, or taking data from WebSockets. Then before forwarding to all, you can modify in place and adding your additional data of that computation. But the point is that you should not block the path. So if your calculation, suppose at best, at the very best, you are getting one snapshot at 333 millisecond, then your calculation should be done before the next tick arrives from the current. In between 300 millisecond, if you are able to do, then I think this is the way to go ahead. You can do this easily, right? Otherwise you will be lagging behind, and if somebody has to work with that score, then they will be working on still data.
भाई प्लीज रिपीट. हाँ, मैं थोड़ा सा मिस कर गया आपकी बात. थोड़ा सा एक बार ये को एरर आ
you,
रहा था.
you got a data, right? As at best, like you are getting data at the frequency of 333.
करेक्ट.
No, who is speaking? Okay, so
शबीर भाई प्रसीन हियर, प्रसीन हियर। सॉरी, आप वो मेरे जब थोड़ा बोल रहे थे तब मेरा वो माइक ऑन नहीं कर पाया मैं। रियली सॉरी, थोड़ा आपको बीच में इंटरप्ट किया। आपने जो थोड़ा समझा है मुझे थोड़ा एक बार फिर से समझा पाएंगे?
crux I from where, which mic it is coming, right? Yours or
No, 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 not mine, not mine.
okay? Anyways, I got Prasan. What I'm trying to say, like you are adding metadata on top of tick data, so you want others to see not only the tick data but the data you are calculating on top of that, right? Suppose I'm getting data on a frequency of 333 millisecond per every 330 millisecond, 300 millisecond we are getting one snapshot. So you have a window of 300 millisecond where you can do the calculation and send it to others, right? So as soon as you receive the tick data, so on that tick you do your calculation, but the calculation should not block more than 300 millisecond, where the probability of next tick arriving is high. So either you will be losing that tick, right? Because or you will be losing the connection itself, and because of this blocking your connection most likely will lose, or you will be getting stale data. So you can do as long as the computation doesn't take more time than the frequency of data receiving itself. Second thing, where you are going to adjust, okay, I'll not block it, but the strategy which are listening to this metadata that I'm calculating, whatever scores that I'm calculating, is not bothered about current data. Even if it is data of last 300 millisecond, it is okay. Then you can go ahead, you can pass this you can buffer the incoming tick to a queue, and in the main thread you can while troop a busy spin karke, you can take out the data from queue, do the calculation and send it to everyone, broadcast it to every single strategy. But the point is they should having this acceptance ki, okay, even if it is 0.3 second delay data, I don't mind it. So if the strategy is minding the business, then your calculation should be done uh, ASAP.
Now शब्बीर भाई, please tell me कि अगर मुझे currently I'm basically trying to get the data of around 2000 instruments and then trying to compute it. Would it be possible to कहते run it in polars and कहते have the computation done in less than 300 milliseconds?
Like with Zerodha you are polling or with any other broker.
नहीं, with Zerodha, with Zerodha.
Zerodha aggregate the packet and send it at once. So you are getting, if you subscribe to 2000 instrument, you are going to get 2000 instrument at once. So even if you are getting at a frequency of 300 millisecond, you are getting 2000 instrument data at 300 millisecond. So as soon as you receive it, you pass it as a array of dictionary, send it to pollers. Pollers will make a data from of 2000 instrument, maybe 2000 lines for each instrument, one line, let's say, and you are doing a calculation on top of it. If it's not heavy calculation, I don't think so it should take more than 300 millisecond. If it's not calculation heavy, vectorized calculation should take less. So what I have benchmark, for you to pass 3000 instrument takes, it takes 30 microsecond. 30 microsecond with Python you take.
Okay. Okay.
Who is there laughing? I don't know. Okay, so as soon as the data arrives, the binary ticks arrives, and you have to pass it in a dictionary format. That takes with a dictionary comprehension, list comprehension in kite 30 or 35 microsecond. So 35 microsecond to pass the data, then pollers to do to make a data frame, let's say additional 10-20 microseconds. So within 1 millisecond you will be having a data frame. So you are having 229 millisecond, 299 millisecond to calculate whatever scores you are having. It is the most definitely possible with 3000 instrument, because you are making a data frame in 1 millisecond, and then you are having 299 millisecond, which is more than enough to do any vectorized calculation, I believe, if it is not most complex and interdependent on different things, because you are working on the same whatever data you are receiving, right? And it will be available in the same data frame, or you are having a dependency on another data, maybe historical data or any other thing.
No, sir, no dependency. It is just the kite, the socket
If it is
data,
not dependent, if it
and
is not dependent, it is working on the same data that is being arrived from the tick, it's most likely possible to do that.
and all the calculations such as implied volatility and delta theta, is that could be possible as well?
Implied volatility, it depends upon how you are doing. If it is branchless, yes, you could. If it is not branchless and you are doing like a resolver thing and trying to use any other resolver which is doing in a while loop, so every single, even if it is you are applying a user defined function from to polars to vectorize it, I don't think so it will cut it. No, it would take more than 300 millisecond maybe.
मैं अपना कोड चिपकाऊं क्या यहाँ
आपका
पे
कैसा
अभी
है ना, आपका
वापस?
तो ब्रांचलेस है, दैट वुड बी मोस्ट बेटर इन दिस सिचुएशन बिकॉज
हाँ, मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ कि ना कि अगर है ना ठीक है somebody is interested you can go through that code because a single shot में आपका सारा सब कम्युनिकेट करता है.
because branches there
तो
is no while loop, so it will be easily vectorized and can do things in 200 millisecond or whatsoever. 3000 instrument 200 millisecond with that code, easy peasy, because there is no branches. So every single line in that table will be calculated once. There is no while loop blocking that, because if there are 3000 line in that table, so 3000 while loop running simultaneously, it's not possible. Python is not actual multi-threaded, but it's green multi-threaded, so it won't cut it because it's a cpu bound task. It won't be happening in with any other library which is doing resolver thing. With Ramansar code you can try.
I'll definitely try it out, sir. Thank you so much.
I was on mute. Rahman sir, आपका तो code branchless है, as far as I have seen. There is no branches. It's all sequential instructions. So what do you think? Vectorization तो बहुत easy हो जाएगा. Even if you can do NP vectorize and work on.
yes, that is what I was suggesting. Basically, in case if you are interested in the Python thing, that is the closest you can have, potentially the fastest and the closest that you can have to compute all of them.
Yeah, everybody who is looking after any branches calculation, you should go forward. Use pandas, polars, or NP vectorize, where your pass either, like suppose you are having an array of LTB in as a NumPy array, you just vectorize it with circles, pass as a user defined function, and get all these Greeks and IVs.
And to back compute IV, if you are not looking for precision, it will take 2 iterations to compute that IV from the price. So it can be used over there as well. In case if you are not really using any kind of precision अगर ज़्यादा चाहिए नहीं तो I think बोलते 2 iterations में it will be completing the IV calculations.
Yes. Try that person and see. I think your problem would be solved. But just be mindful, anything you do, try to measure it, like whatever you are doing. And best case, before placing it in hotline, you do it an individual test where you have a static data, let your function do the things, measure the time it takes, and if it is well below the threshold, place in hotline. Don't try to plug it at hotline, which will make the whole feed laggy. As a part of what I say, cascading effect will come into play.
Sid is asking, I'm using AWS EC2. Sometime back, my instance stopped because the RAM was full because of an error. Is there any way to know if my instance has stopped using Telegram or any other app?
Your what type of instance you are using? If you are using any instance which is having burstable CPU like T series, most likely don't use at all, because that's are like heavily resource shared and heavily what say throttled. So even if AWS sense like the guy is abusing or any sudden spikes are there, most likely it will be throttled down, and it wouldn't be very good. Most people should either use M series general purpose or compute optimize or any R series. Cost wise, it will remain the same, maybe 1 cent, maybe $0.01 more. But the performance, the kind of performance and less throttle you will receive there would be far much better, where you're not the resource is not, CPU resource especially is not being throttled, and credits and all. Regarding to know what is happening, if it is CPU or whatever the RAM, because of any memory leak, uh, complete memory is exhausted, the system will freeze and crash. You will not be knowing anything. It's better to apply any external monitoring. AWS offers, I think, Cloud Monitor, so which monitor this instance, or you can install AWS CLI on your local system, uh, and log in with your credential, and you can use that to check whether the instance, how the instance is performing, whether it is working, not working, going still, that you can check. And that can be automated also with Python code or any other code. AWS having SDK for that on GitHub, so that you have to look into. Or better, install Telescale throughout your system. Make a virtual private network, and as soon as on the Telescale dashboard, it goes from green to gray, that the instance has gone from your network, means something bad has happened. Either it is down or it's not responding, so you can take an immediate action. Because in case of memory leak and the system crashing down, there is nothing left, because the system will crash and will be shut down, immediately. Nothing much you can do. That only you can do whether the instance is active or not. Memory leak, first of all, it how it has happened, whether something like you're using making a list, uh, maybe 1 million or 100,000, instead of having a generator or something that in your code that has made the usage, because Python will not leak that much memory that will make the whole system down. The likelihood is very less. I don't know. Rahman sir?
My recommendation is that to use a ulimit, that is a Unix admin kind of situation, to limit the usage of all your processors so that this does not really happen. Although upgrading is a better idea, but nahi to bhi, you can try the ulimit, limiting the resources available for each of the processors that you have deployed.
You can use Linux command to place soft limit, but find the root cause at least. Try to have try to, if you are having Windows, try to do this thing in WSL. So you'll find the root cause how it has happened. So in software, say we say it as a fuzzy test. So you make your program or the whole system go through fuzzy data, so it receive all kind of nonsense data, and then you see how the system is performing. So it goes through all kind of likelihood chances where it can fail, not fail. So you'll get to know. Or any VM you can install a virtual box or there, and you can check the same thing replicating there. Identify the root cause and kill that. Placing soft limit monitoring and all will only be there when mishap has already happened.
No, soft limit will help you at least in the front that the system will not get killed, so that you can identify the situation then and
The
there.
process will be killed, right, Raman sir?
No, no, it will actually limit it over there. Let's say you set the limit of 20-25% of the CPU utilization, it will not cross that limit. It will get throttled on that crossing of that limit.
But doing it programmatically, it will be difficult. Get a process ID and apply use of limit or system wide use.
अरे नहीं, उसको एग्जीक्यूट करो, उसके बाद में कमांड लाइन से एग्जीक्यूट करो, उसको यू लिमिट सेट
That's right.
करना.
Process initiate karo, get process ID, and then place you limit, right?
Yes, yes.
And you have to write you can write a Python code which initiate your main Python process, get PID, apply soft limit. That can be automated. No big deal. You can, any LLM can help you there as well. But even though I will advise you to find a root cause and
Root cause is required, no doubt about it. It's just that sometimes the situation is not easily replicable. So you'll be forever during that time, if it is limited over there, the process is not killed, you can at least have a possibility to attempt identifying the problem where it's happening. So
Right. If it is 25% cap limit and it is continuously running at 25%, then the situation is already replicated because you have already placed a limit of that and it's already exhausting that, right?
yes. Okay, I have a question now. Ingestion का part समझ में आ गया. Okay, when placing the order, you recommended practice. Send all the orders simultaneously or send it in batch. See if it's executed and send the rest of them. What is the recommended mechanism on the retail API
No, no,
level?
no, sir, just can you repeat, please? Because I've lost in between.
Let's say you have to send across an order for 100
Okay.
lots. Okay, batch it in 10 lots, wait and see if it's executed, and then resend the rest of them or send all of them.
Most likely, I will send all of them.
Okay, in case if then monitor whether it's been executed, yes or no. Is that what you're suggesting?
Because I'm continuously the other process is listing over the post backs. So as soon as this when I'm sending 100 orders, it's not getting executed ultimately all at once. So the broker will queue it and it will process one by one. So as soon as this will be one of the order will be completing, we'll be having order IDs, right? And it is I'm having a stream of responses. I'm deserializing the response over a stream. So as soon as I like suppose the first 10 order already completed, so I'm having the response order ID of that particular 10 order, which is the key for me. And I'm obviously from the other other process which is connected to WebSocket is waiting for the post back of that particular ID, order ID. So as soon as the order ID response over that WebSocket post back is coming, I'm matching the order status in two different places.
Rajendra is asking,
जमान सर आपको आप समझे मैं क्या बोला करके.
Sorry, एक phone आ गया था. Yes, I get the idea. कि basically you send across all the orders. Okay, you then try to match it how much percentage has completed, right?
Because you send the order all at once. Broker is processing it sequentially, and it is as soon as they process, they release the post back to WebSocket, right? And you are continuously receiving it. So you are having continuously listening on this WebSocket for this order update, and you are having an order ID. Streaming response like 100 ka streaming response you are getting, and then this order ID you can place and hash it and place it in a hash map and match it with the order response that is coming over WebSocket. And if the order ID matches, the hashes matches, to update the value. So you'll be having a streaming value of the order responses, whether it is being completed. So as soon as this 100 finish and you have the complete 100 order ID simultaneously, maybe with the latency of 100 millisecond or 50 millisecond depending on upon the broker, you will be having all the values of the order response current status, whether it is complete or not complete. Then you can take a loop over this hash map and check the value and filter it out whether order status equal to completed, discard it, and remaining you can just again take that order ID and again send a bunch of requests having put order request, which is modifying the value or canceling whatever you want.
Got it.
Yes, Crux, you were telling something.
Rajendra is asking, what are the weird edge cases you have observed in OMS RMS?
RMS weird, most weird is what margin benefit not getting immediately reflected, and our code is very fast, and but we are getting bottleneck by broker. So ultimately, at that moment, either discard that or sleep a lot of time or wait a lot of time to place order. Sometimes at many times I have just removed that check कि margin benefit मिला कि नहीं, like I just thought कि okay I have that particular balance जाएगा. But if you want to do that for every other hedge benefit, you try to check whether the available margin is there according to the margin benefit applied. Sorry to say, you most likely will get bogged down, because they don't immediately reflect that. And if you're hitting continuously, maybe after 1 second or 2 seconds they will reflect it and you'll get it. But if you want to do multiple times in the same second, maybe around 10 millisecond, like you want to send 100 order and applying hedge benefit in between orders will not go. Oh, weird. That is very, very weird. And in RMS and OMS, a lot of weird checks, because whatever they have listed in documents, whatever the probable error codes and error messages, whatever database they have thrown to, like standardized, every API is having a documentation key, whatever error codes they can throw, and what that does it mean, and how you are going to, because you read it and you know, okay, when this order will when this error code will come, what does it mean and how I will take action. But what happens, these are all obsolete. The broker implement daily new thing, they will not update the documentation, and you will get new codes new error message which you have not taken into account, and the system goes haywire, because the system is not designed into a way that's tolerate a new value at runtime. If you are compiling a code which is statically compiled, not dynamically, like which is with the code basically not aware. So in that case, like I have seen many cases in many brokers, different brokers, different lafra rehta hai karke, like I try to made my own database of probable uh, uh, error and their error message codes, and what does that mean, scraped over time from Twitter forums, like you gather scrape data, somebody has got this, okay, that can be a case, maybe I can get in future also, so I'll put this in a database for every single broker. So have your own database of all probable edge cases with where other has already faced this issue and you have not faced it. So in future, if you face it, you will take this action accordingly. That is beneficial for me. Otherwise, as it's too error prone, like in most of the cases, like if something is not there, I will just have a logger log it and append to the new database something new that the code has not seen till date, neither it is existing in the error database. So append it is as a new case. Then at the end of the day, I'll look into a cases new cases, like I'll say, uh, sometimes if let's say Zerodha. So some days before 4 June, or like in last end of May, WebSocket, if it is disconnected, if you, have your reconnect mechanism, whatever they have given in vanilla code, it will exhaust, because the connection establishment itself has taken more than 150 130 seconds. So after 7 8 seconds, it will drop, or sometimes it will hang indefinitely. At the end of the day, when you check your code, you are seeing the web socket is being established करके लिख के आएगा, like the connection has not yet established. So that was the very weird edge case that I have faced, apart from this OMS RMS, where the connection establishment will hang indefinitely and you don't have a check where it times out. You are hanged because the code is saying, boss, the connection was disconnected. I am trying to connect, but the connection, while it is making, it is hanged because you have not passed the timeout which is required, right? Then in my recent code, like I've shared also, like then when I'm making new connection, I definitely pass a timeout. If the connection when I'm starting, if it is not connected within 5 seconds, I will drop the idea and I will try to reconnect again, because that can hang indefinitely and the whole day it will elapse and you will not get to know, because the logic is right, code was right, it was trying to reconnect, but in that place it has hanged indefinitely. What you can do? So all that, you have to gradually evolve in that code, like the basic check mark. Even with HTTP request, like suppose you try to make a request and the connection will fail, internet is there, everything is there, but the TCP connection itself has not been established. What you can do, and then don't let it hang, don't keep the timeout as none. So it will, what it will done, it will wait indefinitely. Okay, I will wait until unless that server will respond to me and give a handshake. Okay, we are handshaking, connect that, make the connection. If it is not done within a defined threshold, drop the idea, reconnect again. Drop the idea, reconnect again. Sometimes happen, and on 4th June, many times. Like suppose 5 seconds happen, drop timeout, then again try to 5 seconds again. After 5 attempt and it's elapsing 5 25 precious seconds in that market time. On the fifth time, the WebSocket connection established, reconnected again. So if I have not done this timeout, so it will won't retry and it will hang for the whole day. Even after this timeout of 5 seconds, it tried 5 times to have a successful connection because of the peak load, and everybody was trying to access the WebSocket because they must be disconnecting and they were retrying. So it all choked the whole infra. So this sort of situation can easily happen because in market nothing can happen for hours and weeks, but all of a sudden within 1 minute a lot of action can happen. But you don't want to miss that action, that you don't want to miss that particular 1 minute, because that is the major lucrative thing. Nothing can happen for majority of the portion, that doesn't matter, but when the action happened you don't want to miss that out. So if these type of checks and balances not there, then it would be difficult, and these type of insights can be gained only if you are doing it actively and getting facing these type of situations, then only you can evolve or somebody is guiding you. So it's like stochastic nature, randomized है आपको face हुआ तो ठीक है. Somebody will tell I have never faced this situation, but that doesn't mean that you won't be facing this in future. So you can't deny the likelihood of it happening to you. This is my motto. Like whenever I have an edge case, I just make a database, try to replicate it, make it a standard throughout the code base. Because if one broker can happen, if this can happen in one broker, the likelihood of it happening in another broker is also there. One can't deny, out of the box, I can't rule out that it will not happen. So whatever learning you have with certain portion, you try to replicate it somewhere else as well, to save yourself from these mishaps. Which one is better, message queue or channels? Channels should be faster, right? Channels between threads, of course, if it is single process, SPSA, single producer, single consumer, that is the fastest. When you dabble into multiple consumers and single product, then things start to get weirder, because you have to think of the contentions, and you have to think about the slow consumers. They should not, any one of the slow consumers should not block the producers and a lot of this. So I think it's there, it's good in multi-threaded environment, but in multi-process I will always look for a queue with dropping any slow consumers. So channels is good if you are doing any cross-threaded communication. And even though in this current the latest generation processor also, the cost of doing inter-thread communication with channel will cost you 30 to 40 nanosecond. Any fund houses or any high frequency or whatever you say want to say, कई लोग बोलेंगे काम ब्रोकर पे कर रहे हो, you are working on broker, you are talking about HFT or not. But let me tell you, no one doing any cross thread communication on hotline. You can search Reddit or any other Stack Overflow, you'll get to know they are saying I don't want to lose this cross thread communication, and 30 nanosecond it is huge for me. We'll do single threaded work with thread local variables. There is no communication between other processes unless it is only market data feed, because there you don't have any options.
Srinivasan is asking Finvacia HTTP order and position API using from Golang taking more than 300 millisecond. Is there any way to improve this latency? I'm running this code in my local PI5. If I change the code to Rust, will there be any improvement or not? Much difference for network call in both Golang and Rust.
Is it written somewhere? Because like if I can read,
हाँ जी ये ऊपर ही है पिन किया हुआ है मैंने
पिन किया है आपने, एक मिनट जस्ट. P2P the server was connected. I don't know if I have a set up and wait. Can you explain storing how to get 2000. I don't know, Finversia or so, okay, person API. But it's not about language, man. See, this HTTP request, open a browser and punch an order from Finversia, and simultaneously, what you know, open this developer tools and go to network tab. When you punch an order, you'll see one XHR request, to you. Click on that, go to last tab, and you see FTTB, right? Time TTFB, time till first byte. So time till first byte is like the first byte that has been received based on your request to the server. You see the time there. If time till first byte is somewhat around whatever you are facing, no language can benefit you, because this is the network latency that you are facing, right? So you are 300 millisecond away from your system to Finversia. Let's say if you are facing 330 millisecond, let's say 300 millisecond is a network latency which you can't avoid until unless you sit next to them, sit next to their own wide area network, or sit next to their instances, because you are connecting over the internet, and this internet is routed to many hops. You can trace RT from your command line and check, okay, to reach Finversia how many intermediary you are going through, how many hops. Sometimes it can go to 60 as well. In peak time, if Cloudflare is busy, suppose Lucknow is busy, my traffic will be diverted to Delhi. If Delhi is busy and the nearest it is finding Mumbai, then I will go to Mumbai to Hyderabad to Chennai to Mumbai, because it's what they are determining as the least latency path for me. I have no control over it, right? This is having no control. Once you determine, once you choke down, like you got rid of this network latency by any means, like sat next to you found out Finversia is hosting at AWS South 1B, and you try to host there. So what it done, if they are having most likely Flying Finversia is not using Cloudflare, as far as I know. They are directly using CloudFront. So if you're hosting in Cloudflare, so you will get a better latency, because you are using the AWS infrastructure will route your packet internally over the 400 Gbps network fabric they are having. It will not be routed through internet. Most likely, will be routed through internet, but to the nearest Cloudflare IP. So most likely, you are not going to leave the data center out. But if it is from Cloudflare, then again, if you are hosting at AWS itself, then you are hitting Cloudflare, best, nearest edge. Then that Cloudflare will connect to Cloudflare. Flare will connect to Finversia or any other broker. Then it will reverse proxy and pass their data. So these you can minimize up to a bit, until unless you are co-located और broker के पास आपको direct IP मिल गया तो आप connect कर लो. Then after that, you can you reduce the 300 millisecond to, let's say, 10-11 millisecond. Now you can try to check your language, change your language, and check whether the bottleneck is now language or not. Like you got 10 millisecond from ping, let's say ping, or you get ping TCP. So okay, if I'm sending a TCP packet, I'm receiving in 10 millisecond from Finversia. So now I'm making a request from Python, whether this 10 millisecond is not there or not, and then I'm doing with the Golang, whether this I'm getting 10 millisecond or not. Then you will get to know, okay, which is giving you the bottleneck. But most likely, right now, whatever you are getting, the major chunk, at least 90% of the latency is coming from network. Believe me. Rahman sir, you can add. I want to add on top of this.
Am I audible? I am not sure.
You are audible.
Okay. No, whatever you said is true. I was merely suggesting that changing the language is not going to help. You have to identify the root cause associated, and potentially that would be a major problem area.
Yes, next.
Ramesh is asking how to get 2000 or more instruments live data from any broker WebSocket.
Whether first you have to check whether your broker is supporting that or not. Some brokers may not support 2000 instruments. The broker that is aggregating data and sending to you, I think that is far better than sending everything. Because if they are sending everything like Zerodha, every instrument one updates, then suppose 3000 instrument, and if they have to send 3 snapshot, then you have to receive 9000 packet in 1 second, right? And if they have not optimized this, SDK, whatever library they are using to cope up with that traffic, it would be very difficult, and the likelihood of you blocking that path would be uh, more, because you have to receive, instead of 3 packet from the broker in 1 second, you are receiving 9000, because they are sending one instrument update over one packet. They're not aggregating and sending at once. तो उसमें क्या है कि chances of you getting stale data, because 9000 instrument per second, 9000 update per second, and every second it is coming. So the whatever queue or whatever buffer that your internal library is keeping will be exhausted if you are not consuming at that fast rate. I mean, if you are getting 9000 update, you should be processing that 9000 update as well. Otherwise your whole buffer will fill and you will start noticing, okay, ये वेब सॉकेट में लैग आ रहा है, फिनवसिया मुझे बहुत डिले से डेटा भेज रहा है. No, because whatever how they are sending, that is their opinionated choice. They have taken an opinion like, I will send like this and this is how I will do. And but if you're not able to match that same frequency, you're always gonna get lagging behind. तो वो डिपेंड करता है कि आप कितना इंस्ट्रूमेंट कहाँ से मिलेगा, कौन से ब्रोकर से मिलेगा. वो डिपेंड करता है योर चॉइस ऑफ ब्रोकर. प्लस इवन इफ दे आर सेंडिंग, you should definitely check how they have implemented it, whether they are aggregating and not aggregating. Where it is not aggregated, be very mindful of the implementation, what they have implemented. If they have not implemented with the correct buffer, you're most likely gonna exhaust it, and you are going to notice slight delay or significant delay in your feed. So if I say I'm connecting to Zerodha, 3000 is easy, because for 3000 they will be sending one packet combined as a one update. So out of 300 instrument, not every instrument is traded every second. Maybe out of 3000 instrument that I'm subscribed, only 1000 got a new update. So they will be sending a packet of 1000 instrument to us as a club, and as soon as I receive, we decode it and take it out as an individual instrument and process it. Depending upon the broker and their implementation, you can check it out. It's easily from Dhan. I think when I made their WebSocket, when they were not offering, somebody asked me, Dhan is very crazy, they're not giving and all. I made, I replicated whatever they're doing on their front end, and open source on GitHub long ago. So there I was, so I subscribed to 9000 instrument at the very first go, and I was getting it 9000 instrument update per second. They were sending one update per second. Oh, that was easy. तो डिपेंड करता है सपोर्ट कर रहा है कि नहीं, एंड द ऑफिशियल एपीआई डजंट सपोर्ट 9000 इंस्ट्रूमेंट आल्सो. And there are one more thing. If you are subscribing to the more instrument, and if you have the facility of opening multiple connection with the broker, then you should divide into chunk and subdivide into a different connection. Let's suppose I'm allowed to open 3 WebSocket connection with Zerodha, and I will at max subscribe to 3000 instrument. So I will not open one connection and subscribe to 3 instrument on that connection. Instead, I will initiate 3 WebSocket connection, and I subscribe 1000 instrument per WebSocket. So the the amount of packets or the amounts of byte will be subdivided into these connections, and the choke and holding point will not be there. Even for them, it will be better, because clubbing one and then parsing it at runtime, it would be having an overhead.
Next question.
Yes, tell me.
Yeah. Mm, can you explain storing WebSocket data with the methods and technology used to efficiently handle the load and data? I was subscribing to WebSocket of around 500 instruments, and it just crashes the server so much that the manual orders were not being able to fire.
I on a daily basis subscribe personally, and most of the people knows and can tell about this. I do it on daily basis, boss. And this Python script takes 36 MB or 37 MB at peak RAM, and the resource on CPU doesn't exceed 1% throughout the day. And I have subscribed and saving to the all current expiry index, spot, futures, and options complete instruments. Let's say I'm subscribed to Nifty, Bank Nifty, Sensex, mid cap, and whatever this five index, complete option chain, and complete spot and complete future. These data I save daily, and resource utilization is 1% CPU, and my RAM is 23-24 MB max. Same method. On message, as soon as the message arrives, I queue it, and the queue size is 100. I buffer 100 message at Vex, and in the background thread is handling WebSocket. Main thread is handling taking the data out from the queue, saving it to file, plain file. At the very start, I open the file, and as soon as the packet arrives, it goes to the queue. In the main thread, I get from the queue, I append to the main file. And at the end of the day, when the time clocks 3:30, it will check whether there's something left in the queue. If there's something left in the queue, it will take it out. It will submit append to the end of the file. Then it will close the file, and then I will compress and save it. It's as simple as that. Not more than 300, 400 lines, if one want to implement it from the scratch. Otherwise, with brokerage decay, it will not take 50 lines to implement this. And I have shared with others also, and they have found success. I think trading algo is also doing. You come up and you can add to it if you if you feel comfortable. Trading algo.
Oh,
Send him a request.
sorry.
You can send him a speaker request. This guy, trading algo, Sovic.
Yes.
So it's easy. It's not like, and if even if you do to database and all, you just don't block WebSocket. Whatever you are receiving, because you are saving it, you're not working it. So you just queue it and let the database engine or any other engine take the data from queue and save it at their own pace. They should not block WebSocket. They should let the WebSocket run as it is, and the other part, file or any database or any other party, you just take out from the queue, and I will save at my own pace. I'll save one tick at 1 second. I'll not save. I will wait for 5 seconds, then I will save. So all my data is in the queue. I will at wish I will take it out and I will save. Maybe I can hold if I have enough memory. And like suppose I have 12.5 GB or so. So I can in memory save the whole dig data of the 3000 instrument. It will take roughly 12 to 13 GB in memory. And at the end of the day, I will take it out and save it to file database anywhere. The point is, don't block your WebSocket. On tick, you pass to a queue or pass to a buffer. Don't do any calculation, and don't do any database activity or any other activity on that callback, because that is a callback. Callback should be as light as possible, because it will be called at every frame. Suppose in Finvasia, I'm subscribed to 3000 instrument, and they are sending 3000 to 4000 update per second. If I do 4000 database update, it would definitely crash it, because that is not designed into that way. If you do any database and all, database is designed to do things in batches, not a small update at once. Savik, you're here. Welcome, man. You can
Yeah. I think
talk.
yeah, I think that was a I really like that idea when you spoke in the last space, right? So I started fiddling around and I reached you that day. So yeah, I think this is a very good idea because as you rightly say, right, you push it to database, it will just choke everything down. And that was and another problem was that if you store it in database, they index it, they do a lot of stuff, and that size grows. So for me also, this was a headache, right? So you want something which is lightweight, first of all, and you want something which is also small in size. You don't want to, because you want to store, let's say you want to store all options data, let's say, right, of the market. Now imagine storing all the options data of the market in database, right? I imagine the amount of I mean memory and CPU consumption you would need, and imagine the amount of size it will grow to. So I think I completely agree, Shabir bhai, that it's just, so yeah, and implementing it and just putting it and pushing it and appending it in a binary file, I think that's a good idea. And also the compression, right? That's very important. the ZSTD compression which you are doing. Um,
That will also add to an overhead. I'm sorry, but I
yeah.
think and it will just add to an overhead. It might as well just storing inside a binary and serializing it over there
Uh-huh.
would get the job done for everybody.
Yes,
Compression also
absolutely.
takes up its own overhead
We
associated.
can do it later. That's possible, but like it depends, right? You because within the day the file size will grow multi-folds if you don't compress. Even that's an issue, right?
So the my preferred method
Okay.
is, if I
Mhm.
suggest, is basically in a you know Shabir was mentioning about something called as uh, ring buffer or something, whatever. The thing is, have a fixed size array of, let's say, time bound. Okay, let's say 1 minute data you have collected and put that in an array. Okay, serialize that array and just keep it over there in a binary, serialize and keep it across and start the next batch associated. That is what something you can keep on passing out. So every minute or every 30 seconds, and I just keep on filling up that array, serialize it, and just save it across over there to be processed by anybody else for that matter.
Yeah, it's like a batch and flush,
Got
batch
it. Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Mhm.
Correct,
data.
correct, correct, correct. Yes.
You have a
So
temporary buffer in between so that you don't.
Like,
yes, yes,
Yeah.
basic
Mhm.
size buffer, just keep on using it.
a
Yes.
problem is that like not all the broker is using bandwidth files. Even the guys who are using Finversia and all, they're sending JSON. It's like you are using a machine gun instead of a rifle. Like, uh, boss, you send the data in a pack format that takes the least amount of size. So suppose whatever bandwidth that is required to stream data from the web socket of zeroda 3000 instrument, it will take almost 4 times the bandwidth for conversia to transmit the same thing, because they are sending it is as a string JSON, text data. Whereas Zerodha is sending as a pack data, binary format, which you can store as it is. Where if I have to do it in Finversia, I have to deserialize the incoming text to a data structure, and that data structure, if I'm doing in Python, then I will pickle and save as a binary format. Or otherwise, I'll take the value and I have make my own pack format and save it as a binary format and batch it and save it.
That would be passing then ultimately.
No, no, I'm trying to save it in a format where the capacity, size at the time of save should be the least. Because when I'm reading it, I can immediately read that binary thing in a packed binary in any deserializer format of my own. Because I am deciding how it should be serialized and deserialized, right?
Okay.
So the point is here, if you are reading storing data, now you are not the first thing that goes away, the need of any real time things. You can just batch it and flush it, batch it and flush it. तो जो भी डेटा आ रहा है आप उसको बस भेजते रहो क्यू में, जो भी एडे में, वॉट एवर इट इज, एंड एट योर ओन पेस you can just do it on other thread, other process, or whatever. What I do practically, I compress each packet beforehand while saving, and with a prefix of that compressed length data. तो वो क्या होता है कि like I'm saving each packet at my own pace while compressing it, because I don't need this thing to be real time. So why don't I take the leisure while saving and compressing each packet instead of compressing the whole file at the end? That I can do as well. So suppose 3000 instrument from Zerodha comes in a binary format of 12.5 GB. So if I store as it is, the flat file will be 12.5 to 12.6 GB. But if I store each frame that is being received, so each frame will be how much? Like let's say 3000 instrument, and I'm considering like I'm receiving every instrument update every second. So 184 bytes. So it will be around how much? 552 kilobyte, right? So if I compress it at the very same time, this 552 kilobyte per update with a Z standard, it will come close to around 120 kilobyte, or maybe lesser than that with higher compression. So at the very same time, I will save each packet with the Z standard compression, maybe the peak level compression of level 22, which makes the whole 12.5 GB data to 500 600 GB MB at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, I've just closed it, and I got this 600 MB data, instead of me doing, okay, now I got 12.5 GB data, now I have to compress it. the compression itself will take maybe some hours, and then I'll get the same data, right? So I went to this route key because at the end of the day I have to again compress it for archival purpose. Instead of, why don't I compress each packet and write a deserialization mechanism where each packet, it goes, read the length, the length of the compressed packet data, read that data, decompress and deserialize. So serialization and deserialization of this compressed data will work like magic. You get the, best of both worlds, where in the other case, first you compress it 12.5 GB flat file to a Z standard 600 MB. When you want to use it, you have to first uncompress it to 12.5 GB, then only you can use. But in this way where I am using, I can read anytime because each packet is compressed and with a prefix of length, right? So I can go to any length and I can just take that chunk, decompress, and I get to that point of data. I may map the data and reading it throughout. Each packet is Z compressed individually instead of the whole file. तो archive करके मैं read कर सकता हूँ instead of like, okay, retrieve from archive, decompress and then read. मतलब it's my मतलब philosophy that I was doing. I found it suitable for my use case. So giving a
I
best of
think it, yeah, I think it makes sense. Just I had one question around it. Let's say, because right now I'm trying to scale that up, right? I'm now consuming certain number of tickers, and I what my idea would be to consume way more, right? So maybe close to, let's say, whatever limit would offer, right? 3,000 into 3, let's say, for now. So that will be about close to 9,000 tickers, and maybe I'll make it more. So my point is, Ishwari bhai, where, how do you then, because then the flat file itself, even after compression, would be big, right? How do we tackle that?
3000 instrument like standard 12.5 GB into 3, right? How much? 36, 39
No,
GB
no,
less.
3,000 to is okay. Let's say I scale up to, let's say, 12,000,
No,
20,000.
I'm saying like 3000 less standard benchmark. Okay, for 3000, 12.5 GB is required if you are don't not using any compression.
Correct.
9000 instrument, 12.5 into 3, right? Let's say, suppose you are
Uh-huh.
getting 9000 instrument update every second. That is the key here.
Uh,
Suppose you are subscribed to 12
exactly.
3000 instrument, not every tick you gets update every second. So if I share not only the tick data flat files, I share individual instrument packet file as well. So whole
Uh.
tick data, including the whole order book L2 5 depth, comes to the peak size comes to 1.3 MB. 1.3
Uh,
MB for 23,000 to 25,000 data points, right? So each instrument can go with the compression of 1.3 MB.
okay.
So Amit,
Depending upon,
if I can, sorry, go ahead, Shabir, please.
so 1.3 MB for the instrument which is having 25,000 data points, but not all instrument will be having that data points.
Agreed.
Some will be having maybe 10,000 data points. It is being
Mhm.
traded every 10 second or 20 second,
Yeah.
whatever,
Also, where I'm looking at, those are not very liquid spaces, so
right?
maybe, yeah,
So,
it'll
so
be lesser. Yeah.
liquidity, what happens? You get like in 1 minute one trade, one LTP, so one update. So right, so the size goes drastically down there. The point is like
Mhm.
9000 you do it, and while you are doing Z compression, now you have three flat files. Let's say the three different process. At the end of the day, you can just uh, take each packet. You have to make another program which take each packet from three different flat files and then place to each other.
Okay. Yeah. So
Make
basically,
is
hmm.
that you have to do one more task like at the end of the processing and merging of these three, like
Yeah.
how
So basically,
database, like how you
when,
are doing shardings. So in database
okay,
there are
yeah,
three
yeah, makes
nodes
sense.
and you are doing sharding. Every node is having certain indexes, not all. So you have a metadata, and where you need to look for that instrument, I have to hit this node, right?
So yeah, so my question was, I mean, we can do that. I understand, but my question was, do we really need to do that, or can we just maybe dump everything, maybe make a queue, dump everything in one file itself? So that
That is
was,
what I was
yeah,
going to
yeah.
basically suggest. See, the amount of data that you're anyway going to work on, I think
Now,
it's
now the
better
problem
that
with that shading will be if one fails, three will fail. You will be
Uh,
having missing data and corrupt poison data.
no, I mean, okay, yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
you're making independency instead of three independent nodes. Now you're made the dependency, right? Three should be in sequence, right? These three packet will come, right? Three packets of from three web socket for the same timestamp. It should next to each other, right? If that
Hmm.
in total 22,500 second, in 1 second if something goes wrong, then you are in soup. While deserializing, you'll get into trouble.
Hmm. Yeah,
Then
yeah, yeah. That happened with me, by the way. The first trial, right? I was like, कि यार deserialize कर रहा हूँ, and I like, what's happening? And at that point in time, I took some inspiration, but I missed on the part wherein you did that length wala thing. That's a very smart thing to do, because I was using a delimiter. I was thinking, what delimiter do I use? And I think it's a very smart thing to do, that you are basically putting a int 32 wherein you are saying that, what, this is the packet length. So yeah,
right. So at the time of reading also, when I map the whole file, so at the time of reading also, it gives me a benefit. Okay, I know I will read to this only. If the
correct.
packet
Yeah.
length is 4, then I'll read 4 length only. I don't want to read more. So the utilization of cache line will be more, better. So I'll get a higher throughput. So I'm not
Hmm.
bothering my L1 and L2. Cache line को भी देखना है ना, throughput चाहिए, because you don't want to
Correct.
read. Suppose I want to replay 9,000 instrument of data. With this technique, I
Hmm.
can do it in 1 second. But if I go otherwise, this replay itself will take hours if you don't do it correct way.
Hmm. Agree. Agree. Makes sense. Yeah. Reman bhai, you're saying something?
I was asking which provider is giving you this fire 1 2 in a single call or something like that. Which provider is it?
To me,
Yeah,
I'm using Zerodha.
Zero is in a single call giving you entire 500 MB or something like that data packet. Is that what you're saying?
No, no, no,
No,
no, no, no, no. Zerodha. So basically, I subscribe to certain tickers, right? So let's say
Okay.
3,000 is the limit. I subscribe to 3,000 tickers. So ideally, Zerodha should send 3,000 ticker update every second. So,
Okay.
but that is not the case, because at times, some of the tickers, there is no liquidity, or there is no transactions happening. So
Uh huh.
sometimes it won't be 3,000, right? So it would be lesser than that. It will be something like 2,000, or whatever, right? So yeah,
almost
so
all of the time. Almost all
almost
of the
all,
time.
yeah, almost all of them, yes.
Not you occasionally get 3,000 instrument packet in one frame. Occasionally, because not
Yeah,
if there is no update. They mention if there is no changes in the previous packet to this packet, I will not send any update. So either
yeah,
LTP
yeah.
should change, either OI should change, volume should change, or the market depth should change. If there
Correct,
is no change, they won't push any data until unless there
correct,
is no event. In case of any event happening and they receive it, because this is the same case with the NSE or BSE itself. If you go to their documentation, the MTBT, if you read this API specification, they say that if there is any update on that instrument, if there is any update, then only I'll push it. Otherwise, I'll not push it.
correct. Just the
Okay. So
first
once
ticker,
you
you
get
will
the
get all the
data,
data. Sorry, yeah.
then what do you do effectively? I mean, under the new paradigm, what are you doing after when you start receiving the information?
So every time when I get the like entire tick data, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it will have data of like not like all the instruments, like the instruments which it's supposed to send the data together, right? So we take that data, compress it, right? Find out what is the length of that data, and just append the length and the compressed data in a binary file. So just keep doing that. As I get the data, find the length, compressed data, just keep adding, keep appending. That's it.
Okay. Why not just parse it across? Because you're already doing the bulk of the work associated while reading and writing it back to the sun. Why don't you just pass it across on the
Yeah, I've
way?
done that as well. In fact, Sharma, I told you, right? I played around with protobuf as well, right? So I also did a thing wherein I try to parse it. But see, my use case, I wanted the, like, whatever takes the least space, right? um
For
uh, uh,
like
yeah.
the least transformation I want to do, na, I just
Correct.
got a binary, compress it, and
uh,
save it.
yeah,
And
yeah, for me also it was least, yeah, there.
because for why with the purpose of that, I can use the same code, same SDK. I don't need to write another deserializer of my own. So I just have to override one function where I'm reading the file. Now I'm mapping the file. That's it. Because the deserialization, the same as the Rosa code will work. because I'm passing the same packet again. Decompress and give the packet, deserialize and give back to me, right?
Yeah. So
So yeah,
in for protobuf, I think you need to serialize and then deserialize.
See,
For
the
Zerodha,
thing
you
is
don't
that,
have to do anything.
yeah.
protobuf is effectively a way to share information through two
I'll
distinct
just
and a
come
combined
in.
process.
I'll
Correct.
just
Yeah.
come in.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, protobuf is can be used. I like gRPC. Normally, it is used with gRPC, right? Wherein you're communicating between two different application interprocess
Correct,
communication.
correct, correct, correct.
But protobuf itself, so basically the why protobuf, why grpc is so famous, because the way they encode it and send it's very space efficient, right? So you can take that idea of creating a protobuf and not use grpc. You can just create a structure and parse a data into that particular format and create a binary file, a protobuf file. So you can also do that. So because I have been working with protobuf extensively in my applications otherwise, I thought maybe let me try it out, seeing that if at all I store it in protobuf, is it saving some space? But I figured out that the binary file itself is very space
Yeah,
efficient
because
as compared to.
the,
Yeah.
the thing is that protobuf is the general purpose application or for sharing across this one. If you're already passing it across, okay, this entire stream you're already passing it across, okay, native whatever language that you're using, you can just serialize it, keep it across. That would be the fastest
Yeah.
and the most efficient way across.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
understand that why do you need to do this zip and things like that. But anyway, I think you have a better understanding of your use case
Yeah.
than me.
Yeah. That's just so that we have lesser space constraint, and also we don't have to unwrap the entire file. So let's say like Shavibai said, so if I have a, let's say, 500 MB file, if I collect all the 12 GB file and I compress it, right? And let's say I then have to decompress it for me to parse it, right? I have to take the entire 12 GB 12 GB file, decompress, sorry, 500 MB file, decompress it to 12 GB, and then maybe I can do whatever I want to. In this scenario, what happens is that because you have not compressed the entire file, you have compressed the chunks which you have received from the broker. So what you don't need to do is you don't need to decompress the entire file ever, right? Because you're basically compress the chunks. Now when you decompress, you just decompress those chunks, so you don't have to unwrap the entire file. So that's, I think, is
That,
the
that,
benefit.
that I correct, but what I'm trying to understand over here is that okay, the chunks
Hmm.
effectively. Why do we need to compress if you're passing it and saving it as a native to whatever platform are you using? Why there is a need for compression unless you are actually having a CSV sort of mechanism for you to compress?
Compress is for archival, sir. I don't want to lie, every
No, no,
data
I was
to
talking
5 GB.
to, I was asking this to Sovik though, because
Okay,
since
okay.
Uh-huh.
you're passing it across, your chunk wise, what you're doing is correct. Okay,
Uh-huh.
if you pass it across and natively save it across and in this same platform, okay, reading it back into that application for any of the activity, okay, would be trivial. Why there
Hmm.
is need for compression that comes into picture? Because anyway, you have to decompress later for doing the what's say read and usage of that information,
Uh,
right?
yeah, yeah. It just space
No,
constraint, I
no, no.
guess.
I'll answer it because
Okay,
this is
okay.
my
Sorry.
thing that
Yeah.
you are replicating it. For me, like I have a flat file of 12.5 GB for 3000 instrument. I'm reading it right as it is. Now I'm having 500 MB, right? How many days files I can save? First, I will check them. Let's say I don't know, 10 days, 20 days file, same. रख सकता है. Now when I'm decompressing it, I'm decompressing at runtime, utilizing maybe 500 KB of memory at runtime where it is needed. Where it is not needed, when I'm keeping it idle, 12.5 GB data on disk lying doing nothing. In this scenario, when I'm needing it, when I'm going to read that data, I decompress and read, right? In overhead of some microseconds, maybe 2 3, utilization of maybe 500 KB RAM additionally, allocation, instead of in that 12.5 GB. Let's say, if you say how much divided by zero point 0.5, that is, I can save 25 days data. So 25 days data is equal to the same, consists the same size, where 1 day data is there uncompressed. Where you are going to read it, you are reading it as it is. What I am doing additional here, when I'm reading, I'm decompressing the packet, I'm reading it. So when you are doing in uncompress, you read as it is, deserialize. For me, I'm reading, decompress and deserialize. So additional one step, maybe some cycles, maybe some RAM, maybe not whole chunk. So suppose I have to decompress like 12 500 MB data into 12.5 GB. It will take 100% CPU, all of the threads in Z standard, and minimum 9 GB of RAM for decompression, minimum, at minimum. While I'm doing at runtime, 6 or 700 KB, because the packet, compressed packet is original size is 500 KB, and you compress it to 120 KB, right? Proper resource utilization at runtime, benefit of both world. More than that, because if I do compression of the whole thing, reading, it would take a lot of resource, lot of time in compression, decompression, lot of blah 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 for me. अब अब रहमान साहब बोलेंगे कि ये लोग ज्यादा बात कर रहे हैं, बट मेरा तो यही नजरिया.
मेरा भी वही था कि because my objective was to just store it, and I want historical data to be there with me. I had no system till now कि जहाँ पे historical data store करूँ, because of the space constraint, right? कि मैं यार database में
Like
तो नहीं
in
कर
that case, like मेरे को
हाँ
25 दिन का बैक टेस्ट करना है, तो I have this 12.5 GB, right? Compressed data, and just every day is being streamed to the same strategy code. Read, replay, let the strategy take action or whatever. आराम से डिप्ले हो गया without doing uncompression first of all this and all. Or in case I'm saving flat files, then 25 days worth of data will be how much? 12.5. I need around 313 GB, where I'm getting it done in 12.5 GB, and getting the same result. Because when
yeah even
replaying it,
even for yeah sorry
replaying it, maybe if an additional 1 second will not hurt you, maybe additional 2 second,
Got
three
it. I
second.
think Souvik, your use case is mostly to save the snapshot and do something about it later, right? In your own system.
later. Yeah, so even I do not know what would I do later. I just want to store it in the most efficient way, maybe in somewhere in cloud. So that's my objective, right? Yeah.
Achha. Got it. No problem. I was
How Data Bento is using it? See, the Data Bento, this Christina Q company in US, they are also doing it, and they're sending the file as the Z standard compressed DBN file. Their extension is DBN. Inside they are doing SB, simple binary encoding, compressing it and sending it. And this throughput they are saying, they are 19 million packet per second they are processing while backtesting. The same concept they are applying. I have took inspiration from their code, to be truthful. This is how they are doing, and now this all HFTMM firms are using their flat files and doing backtesting or whatever of the. Suppose I want to check my strategy, how it would have performed for the day today. I have not played in real market, but at the end of the day, I will just replay it. So same strategy, I want to check how it would have performed for the last 25 days. So I have this data complete, and I will just plug that code as in the same kite connect. Instead of connecting to WebSocket, there's a proxy of file system, so it will mimic as if it is the data is coming from WebSocket server to them. Instead, it will come from the file every day. Each day file will be read, the whole data will be thrown to your strategy. Let your strategy work. As soon as your strategy flag, I am done with this today, and then again the next batch will come.
One question, Shabir bhai, if I tried this WebSocket, I know that there is only three restriction, but at times, I play around and I see that four WebSockets are also working. So, is that restriction very strict, or at times it works?
See, you that's why do your research, find some, if you have find some workarounds. So for that workaround, to know to not you should not ditch you at runtime. Like you have found your
Yeah,
workaround,
that's my question. Yeah.
they have patched it at day. So for that, any of that thing, you should have a back. You should write a code कि if at runtime it didn't work, then fall back to something. So right
Okay.
now you should not go for with official. but
Okay.
instead you can use ink token and connect to 1500 additional with their web one, because there I think 500 is allowed per
Okay. 500 is the limit there. Okay. Okay.
there.
Got it.
So
Hmm.
1500 additional there you can do there. So 3000 9000 ho gaya, and then you can do 1500 there. And if you are feeling adventurous, then you replace the WebSocket root ws-mobile.kite.trade and make 900 again with that.
Okay.
9000.
Okay.
9000. So there also
Uh,
freeze there.
that WS, it's again behind Cloudflare,
No, no,
the mobile one.
no, 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 no. Mobile one
No.
is there behind. Only official one is not there, but it doesn't bother because the okay, wsmobile.zerodha.com, not kite.trade. It's
Okay.
behind Cloudflare, but that should not bother you because you are getting additional things which won't go down normally. And mind
Okay.
you, WS Mobile is more resilient than your official one, because this has been made to work with dropping network connection of your mobile. Suppose you are
Hmm.
roaming and you're continuously changing
Yeah.
network, then it should work. So it is more resilient, more uh, resilient of any network mishap. So
Understood.
disconnection is not happening mostly in this.
Okay. And the authorization is same, the Ink token, right? The
Yes, same
Okay.
same. So whatever you're doing, just change the URL and do it. And
Okay. All
make a pool of object. If one object goes down, don't make new object at runtime.
right.
Make a object pool at the very start, which is ready.
Start of the process effectively and reuse that pool all the time instead of trying to
Hmm.
create a new object in every situation.
एग्जैक्टली ये भी
Yeah.
रहमान सर से सीखा था मैं बहुत पहले ना, पूल बना लो, यूज ऑब्जेक्ट पूल, that helps me. Object pool, pre-made anything like one thing I came to understand, like anything that you can do before start of the day, which is not dependent on any life factor, you should do and make it ready. You just do the lookup and काम कर लो, या use whatever it is, वो ज़्यादा अच्छा है. या तो ऑब्जेक्ट पूल यूज़ कर लो, या कुछ की वैल्यू यूज़ कर लो, या कुछ भी. तो क्या होता है कि मतलब यू save a lot of things. Some guys had done some research which were being talked in Reddit. One day I read कि the guy is predicting LTP, various LTP, doing Monte Carlo simulation for tomorrow, and based on that he's making his strategy decision and order parameters and make a big dictionary out of it. And next day they were doing a lookup of the LTP value from existing one and doing decision instead of doing strategy calculation at runtime. It was very very I was very fond while reading it. This can be done also. How I have not thought about this. This is very good. Suppose like you traverse multiple path, right? And multiple with every tick, like at a frequency of every 0.05 paisa, you predict multiple path of LTP that can take place, maybe a million. And then you have suppose million was saying ज़्यादा 1,000 different path, and 1,000 different path of market case आपसे आप like you have made pre-calculated everything how your strategy will behave this in this scenario, and then you had made
Yes, I was going to suggest this some time back of some gentleman asking about polling and kind of situation. I was of a opinion effectively is that you can should keep a price projection already at what price and your signal will get triggered, and just keep a monitoring towards it instead of fetching the price and then trying to see if the condition is getting met. So already simulate the situation at which price you are going to have your buy signal or whatever sell signal kind of situation. Okay, and then keep a monitoring towards that price. The moment the price runs, it gets triggered. So while you're waiting, okay, for the information to come through, okay, you're not sitting idle polling and then once you get the value then trying to evaluate. But keep a projection of let's say 10 prices, 20 prices and up and down, see at what your signals are effectively getting expected to get triggered and just keep a monitoring towards it. So the moment the price arrives, okay, your signal is already generated. Instead of trying to wait, the data comes across, evaluate the conditions getting met, yes or no kind of situation.
that's the most crazy thing I've read. Like the guy told like if your signal generation is compute intensive and anything of that sort, then you are saving a lot of time. What this will do is you giving you an offering of open lookup. Like you just have to look up ये value आएगा तो क्या signal
Correct, correct,
आएगा.
correct. That is the basically that's the whole idea. While you're waiting for the data to come through, okay, create a lookup table, see where your signals are getting triggered, and then when the moment that price comes into picture, trigger the order and send it forward instead of trying to
A gentleman has left IMC and joined recently in a startup with these three friends. This is the talk by that Mathiam. He's from IMC. IMC, and before that, he worked with Tower Research. And for your kind information, Tower and IMC, they have onboarded Rust full fledged. No more 50% से भी ज़्यादा कोड नया जो है वो Rust में लिखा रहा है. Only thing they have determined the cost, the time cost that it would take to translate any existing course of C, C++ to Rust is more, so they are not going to touch it. But anything new, more than 50 or 60.
that is all easy. Just उसको unsafe block बना दो, सब काम खत्म हो गया. Big deal.
मैं ये बता रहा हूँ आपको, लोग जो contradictory to unpopular opinion, यही situation है. But the main thing that the point of exertion was the cost and the impact is very high if you want to translate existing running thing to run. They are not going to touch that. So whatever is running, whatever is there will be there.
Yeah, which is fine. I no objection towards it. Ultimately, and if you're not able to do it, just put it inside an unsafe block and go ahead with your
So
life.
नहीं है, impossible if you want to leave. But they cost, zero cost abstraction is never zero cost abstraction, whether it is with CPP or Rust.
And एक और चीज सर आपको इसी इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट
Safety
में
guarantee comes with a cost.
इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में एक और चीज बताऊंगा. देयर इज नथिंग कॉल्ड एज लॉक फ्री डिजाइन. देयर इज ऑलवेज अ लॉक, either it's hidden or explicit. There's nothing called a lock free design. इसी कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आपको ये भी बताऊंगा कि वो चेस है ना कि लॉक फ्री वाला चीज है, इट्स जस्ट अ कॉन्सेप्ट. There's nothing called log free design.
Everything is overlapping and bloody when you go to nanometer scale. So वही है, मतलब like it depends how you are saying it and how close you are that to metal system. For a guy who is not doing this kind of thing, it won't bother them. But for the guy who is doing it, will definitely bother them. But
Okay, so ranting aside, I mean, you are my banter and ranting aside. So it's a good practice, including Swami. In case if you're listening, okay, this is what something that and I think you should be doing instead of trying to poll and see if your signal is getting generated, yes or no. Just keep a 10, 20 ऊपर नीचे prices डाल के देखो where your signal is getting evaluated. Okay, and just monitor for that price where the signal is expected to be evaluated. That also answers a question to some gentleman who was asking calculation करने का. Pre-calculate and keep it, or just lookup marker देख लो, whether short circuit kind of lookup. The moment that lookup hits, okay, then you start monitoring and try to generate a signal.
we opened Pandora boxes. Crux, any more question, or we are going to close it about?
Yes, we have some questions. So someone is asking, I have a set of indicators modified in TradingView. With Python, can we automate the buy and sell based on those indicators and trigger the buy sell positions for specific instrument?
That is what I was alluding to just a minute back. Okay, that's the same thing, effectively speaking. That prices के ऊपर से है ना, ठीक है, you already pre-calculate and identify when the signal is expected to trigger, and then the moment the price falls over there, trigger that and move ahead. So basic your TA also it will work out. It's not going to be much of a difficulty in case if you're using any kind of indicator like moving average or something like that.
No, exactly same. Eventually, when you're doing trading your indicators, mostly you're using PineScript, generate alert, and you have if you're having pro accounts and all, you can send a post back with JSON. So you have your system listening to that post back. As soon as a trigger will be generated on TradingView, it will send that data to your Python code, and the Python code will take action on top of that. It's no big deal. And if you don't have big what I'm saying trying to say, don't have public IP, or you don't want to do what EC do, even you can do on your own system. What you do, install Telescale, and you get your IP, public IP, and assign that public IP in TradingView. Even you will get a domain name also if you are using Tailscale for your own laptop. If your Python code is running on your laptop and the signal is being generated at TradingView, uh, take this Tailscale domain, whatever it is has assigned you, and the port number from your system where your web server is running, and in the webhook you pass that. Kaam khatam. You, as soon as the alert will be generated, they will be sending the WebSocket to your laptop, and on your laptop, which is listening to this event, it will, as soon as the event arrives, it will take the action, send the order to the broker. But this intermediary is required. You can't send order from TradingView directly to uh, your broker
Broker.
until unless you have a broker that is already integrated into TradingView, like Fires and then.
Uh, so one is fires, the other one is done, if I'm not wrong.
Right, huh? Both. Many are onboarding. I think this Upstock also are having one, but I don't know whether they are officially listed in the TradingView because they have their domain tv.upstocks.com, so which offers the same thing as Fires and then. But firing order from Timescape, that I have to verify whether Upstock is allowing or not.
Please expand on your limit and chase comment. While exiting positions, I got the idea of putting multiple limit orders, but how to ensure that one of them gets executed, cancel the rest, and how to handle partial fills.
For that, you have to punch OCO orders, one cancel another. Better to put GTT orders for your exit orders. Have multiple of them, and each one of them should be OCO. So if one of that GTT um, execute, it will cancel the other. But for the other GTTs, you have to have a monitor on your own codes, like Python codes, which will cancel based on that other cancellation all the other GTT pending orders. Limit on jaw is a very big topic, boss. I don't want to right now बहुत बोल दिया अभी too much हो जाएगा.
Uh, which database is better to store the tick data to analyze it later by the strategy? I'm using 0MQ and subscribe to WebSockets. I need to calculate Greeks with another process and store it in database to analyze by strategy. Which one is preferable?
Yesterday I talked about this, database. I written four in order. What I use most likely, go with ClickHouse, best for immutable data, and best in class compression, because whatever you are storing, your prime objective is to do analysis on top of that, right? So any OLAP database, which is Colmar, will be having an added advantage. If you don't want to go on DB route, even you can save in Paraquet files and use DuckDB. So DuckDB will use this Paraquet files as a Hive partition and can do the work. But if you must go to the database route, then ClickHouse is there, ScyllaDB, Influx, and Timescale. These four is, and QuestDB, one more is there, QuestDB. So mostly ClickHouse, you stick with ClickHouse, and you're already using 0MQ. So you are just publishing the WebSocket frame to your 0MQ bus, and the other process which is generating Greeks must be listening to this pub sub over 0MQ and generating the Greeks. Now the point is whether you are in place replacing the pointer itself or adding metadata to the ticks or generating the new packet structure itself. That remains to be known because you have not told that. So I'm assuming like where you are generating ticks, so there you are making a new dictionary of taking all the existing data and then updating new field where keys are Greek names and the value are Greek values. And then let's say this dictionary, then you can batch it from the same process, or you can pass to another ZMQ, publishing channel or publishing queue over different topic. Let's say you are having a topic ClickHouse, and the other process which is writing to database is listening to this topic. So whatever value will be as published to this topic of ClickHouse, the process will listen to it, and as soon as it arrives, it will batch it. It will keep in a buffer. Let's say it will wait for uh, the buffer to fill, let's say 100 data points. So as soon as the buffer will fill up, it will flush, right? So this is the way. You don't dump each packet as soon as it arrives. Instead, you batch and flush. Batching and flush will give you more performance and better resource usage instead of doing one by one. So already having infrastructure is place. Only thing is that you have to make another node of make a separate node for batching and flushing to database. You're already having another process for reading and listening to WebSocket and transmitting over ZMQ. You already having another process for Greek generation. Just add this Greek generation to that process with an independent ZMQ publishing uh, pubsub. And if you're doing on local host now, try to use IPC instead of TCP. On Linux it would give you more performance. Even on Windows, try to use pipes. Don't use ZMQ over TCP.
ऑल्सो जो मैं आपने उसका तो कहा था कि एनएससी बीएससी पे मैं जो बॉट रन कर रहा हूँ वो AWS वगैरह ये फेमस सर्वर लेके कुछ फायदा नहीं है, तो क्या एक ये रास्पबेरी पाई डाल लूं?
नहीं फायदा नहीं है, मतलब ये बोल रहा हूँ लाइक यू नीड टू सी, मतलब आई हैव टू स्टोर a lot of data. Let's say I'm giving a practical example. कोई बोगस बात नहीं कर रहा. I have to suppose I have to save 5 terabyte of data. What kind of option I have? Either I have to save in S3 or Cloudflare R2 or some cloud-based service, which will take charges monthly, right? Recurring charges. Why not I'll make a cluster of any short form this CPU boxes, Raspberry or many rocks DB rocks board or any ARM based small microcomputers, and have an NVMe of 1 terabyte, right?
हम्म.
Like I have to have a cluster of 6 terabyte data, and I want to save all this data, whatever market data I'm saving. So I'll be having a 6 Raspberry by let's say Raspberry Pi 5, and having 1 terabyte of NVMe connected to each. And I will say with this NVMe, even on Gen 3, PCI 3, it will give around 960 Mbps of bandwidth to me. So I will be having a parallel lane of 6 terabyte data, and I can save data automatically because it is a computer with quad core processor operating at 2.4 gigahertz. Each comes with an 8 GB RAM, more than enough. Each node can do their own data saving to this uh, NVMe drives, which is having a insane amount of IOPS, which I will never get with an S3 or yeah, any other cloud-based offering. And these all 6 nodes should be connected with Telescale or Papernet or any VPC connection, so that I can get in contact with this cluster of 6 terabyte storage from anywhere in the world, right?
हम्म.
Just I have to ensure internet is present, and then I have a VPC so I can connect. So instead of saving in any, it will save a lot of cost, but there's a one-time upfront cost which is not much. So if you are having let's say a Raspberry Pi 5 and one setup of this 1 terabyte NVMe, it will cost roughly around 10,200 or 10,100 upfront for you. So six, maybe 60,000 upfront. Cluster of 6 parallel compute, which is having compute, RAM, and is their own. So each is an individual computer, let's say, and working as a server for you. So you can program in a way that they scrape the data, themselves save everything automated. No need to touch. And whenever you need data, you can just take it out in parallel from these 6 nodes instead of doing any sequential operation.
Yep.
That was my way. And otherwise, like if you want to run any code and want to sit at next to the broker for anything, you can just do that. And if you have any friend, when I said to Swami at that day, like if you have a friend in Mumbai, the least cost will be buy something of this kind and put it there, ask him to plug his internet, and just do it. You are having permanent server, permanent Linux server. You can use 100% CPU at 2.4 gigahertz, 8 GB RAM, a terabyte of NVMe drive. What more you can ask for? 10,000 for lifetime. Only thing you have to pay some bucks for internet if the friend is asking for. If the friend is giving internet for free, it is free, whatever. And just install Telescale or any other VPC, so that you and you only you can access from anywhere in the world from any device without it being exposed to the internet. स्वामी जी तो एक्सटेंसिवली यूज कर रहे हैं, पूछो उनको.
अरे, स्वामी जी अभी बोलेंगे नहीं, उनको डर है, रिकॉर्डिंग हो रही है ना.
Be I don't know whatever I have said. Will it be misused or what? Like I am saying on record. What I don't know. Okay, so Rahman sir has gone. I think he has wrote
हाँ जी.
thanks all the time. Got to go. Okay, any more question or shall we wrap it up or?
हाँ जी. Do you want to put this recording on your YouTube channel, or should we keep
I
it?
don't have any the YouTube channel, boss. I think the friend is there, na, this Manjesh. He's having Python Trader channel, so he's. I don't know whether he want or not. You can put it here if you have any channel.
I don't have any, but I can make one.
Make one, put it there if you want to.
Yeah.
There is no harm. Nothing is being. Nothing has been said which is contradictory to any popular opinion or if
Yes. Yes.
it would be useful, then okay. If it not be useful, YouTube पे there is no dislike button, so nobody can dislike. So, anyways, like I don't think so. I have contributed enough anything to add to anyone, but I try to answer in my best of the capacity. That's it. So that was the plan. That was the motto. That's what I've written. So whatever I knew, I know I can speak, and people could ask question. I think many of the folks have not joined. Maybe they were waiting and they were thinking that it would be happening at Sunday or Saturday. But okay, let's see. The recording is here. They can listen to.
In fact,
You
my
want
work was
to
also
ask?
going on side by side. मैं थोड़ा थोड़ा काम कर रहा था. Friday है ना.
If somebody want to ask any question, they can comment to this space. Chat. It will remain there as a tweet, and I'll try to answer in writing in future. Okay. So whoever listen and they want to ask question, whatever I have said there, so you can just tweet on this. I think the chain will be there, right?
Yeah. It'll be there.
No. And then I will be answering there. If there is no more question, let's see.
हाँ, दो छोटे छोटे वाले हैं. What is the best way to store tick data in the WebSocket market feed tick callback in Python to use it in another thread?
Plain and simple, append to binary files. File, open it with you write inverted comma na, as a R or W. So instead of R or W, you write WB or AB. Best AB because you are going to append data. So open a file in AB format and just append the data whatever coming from WebSocket. Simplest, plain, no WebSocket, no nothing. Plain file for everyday one. Compress if you want to. Second question was what?
How do you guys rate review Stockso and Quantman as an algo platform?
Bro, I have not used Stockso, neither I have used QuantMan. Maybe they are good, whatever they are offering. Otherwise, they would not be surviving till this date. So most probably, a majority of the people who are using it are satisfied with them. So that's why it's running. Otherwise, company dies if there is no if they give proper shitty services. So they are good for the use cases for which they are designed to. I think mostly they are using some popular strategies pre-made and you can run on your account. It's good, but if you want things tailored to your need and all, I don't think so, because the platform like these are made to cater the need of masses, not for an individual. If you have a specific need and all, I don't think so platform like that exist now. I don't know about the future, whether one will be existing or not, whether one will be coming or not. One can come which will allow you to do things on your own or so. But right now, whatever it is, I think it is pre-made, or you can define some parameter, tweak it, and do it. So I think they are good. Okay, whatever they are doing. Uh, don't go there if you have a specific need which they don't support. Then don't come complaining like, okay, I wanted this, you are not doing this. So I think that should be the motto if you're using these platforms. It totally depends on the way the you see things, right? If you want to add on top of it, then you can add.
No, sir. You have spoken. हम तो क्या ही बोलेंगे.
Okay, I think all the questions has been answered, and I thank you all to listening to my blabbering. Whether I blabber too much or not, forgive me if I've said anything wrong. If I've misspoke or misspelled or something I said which is not accurate, correct me in the comment section or tell me something which I should be knowing, or give ideas, anything to thrive upon, progress together. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Shabir bhai. You have spoken almost for 3 hours. इसको मैं तो पर्सनली लाइक रिकॉर्डिंग को बहुत बार सुनूंगा एंड आई try to implement some of the things in my own trading.
Thanks, man, for considering whatever I said. Okay, I'll go on mute, and if you can close this space at your own convenience. Okay.
Yeah, I'm ending it. Thank you so much, guys, for attending. Yeah, thank you so much, Shabir. Bye. Bye.
Okay. Thanks. Bye. Good night.